So here we are. So we have to first focus on the child and find out the set of needs and priorities which have to be decided for the child, right? And most, now what are the needs of the child? uh, so the most pressing needs of the child are recognized as the rights of the child. So I would not say that all the needs of the child become the rights. Okay, so rights are those, if you see the document UNCRC, or if you see Juvenile Justice Act, you will see that very broad areas are taken as recognized rights of the child, while the child has many other needs. So thus the scope of case management is upholding in both. One is pressing needs of the child and best interest of the child. Both have to be addressed. Now if there is a debate in best interest of the child also, so there are 1000 best interests of the child, because best interests are all those needs of the child which may be felt by the child, felt by the authorities, felt by the NGO, felt by the case manager, felt by the family, felt by the community, felt by maybe the United States, felt by some other countries who will say no. So some other country will say that learning, for example, in some countries, swimming is the first thing that the child should know, right? In China they throw the child in water, or in Japan they throw the child in water at the age of maybe when the child is born immediately. So they will say no, swimming is the first need of the child. But in Indian context we don't bother, I don't know swimming, but it doesn't matter. So that all, those all uh, are decided as per somebody's evaluation of the best interest. Okay, but in pressing needs there is no question, right? So pressing needs will remain same for every child. So can we differentiate between pressing need and best interest? So anybody can add in this, that what can be the pressing need of the child and what can be the best interest of the child? Yeah, anybody can add this? Hello.
Yes, we are hearing you, but just thinking that what to answer.
Okay, yeah, just it's very very basic. Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it interactive, let's not just let Junaid talk, because one way traffic में क्या होता है ना, जुनेद को लगेगा कोई सुन भी रहा है कि नहीं पता नहीं, तो हम लोग सब पार्टिसिपेट करें तो अच्छा रहेगा। मैं बोलूं जुनेद सर, प्रेसिंग नीड है जैसे राइट, एक अपना सर्वाइवल होता है, तो सर्वाइव करना, खाना खाना, बेसिक जो हमारी वो पॉपुलर कहावत है ना, रोटी कपड़ा मकान, वो मुझे लगता है प्रेसिंग नीड्स होता है। बट वो बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट भी होता है हर एक इंसान का।
So ये है कि
basic need is
to add to बोलिए सर।
No, please बोल।
So just adding on to Leena's point, जैसे उन्होंने कहा, pressing needs will be based on the child, seeing the child as a human being, उसके जो most essential needs हैं, पर जो best interest है वो हमारे circumstantial idea भी determine करेगा कि उस particular circumstance में, उस particular culture में उसका क्या best।
Correct. So absolutely right. So यहाँ पे pressing need और best interest को differentiate करना इसलिए जरूरी है क्योंकि हम लोगों के जो experiences हैं institutional care में काम करने के, और फिर इतना ज्यादा हमने जो डिस्कस किया, हम लोग जो नॉन इंस्टीट्यूशनल केयर को डिस्कस कर रहे थे साल से, तो हम ये देखते हैं कई बार हम कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं। हम सोचते हैं कि एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जहाँ पे देखो बच्चा इतना खुश है, अरे इतना उसको डॉक्टर मिल रहा है, उसको हेल्थ मिल रहा है, उसको सब कुछ मिल रहा है, और उसका घर पे अगर उसको भेज दिया तो उसको ये सब कहाँ मिलेगा, राइट? सो अब क्या है कि हमने कई बार सोचा कि नहीं, उसका बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट है उसके घर भेजना, बिकॉज हम बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट पे ही काम कर रहे हैं, और हमने उस बच्चे को रिस्टोर कर दिया। अब पता चला उसके प्रेसिंग नीड्स वहां जो हैं, जो एब्सोल्यूट नेसेसरी नीड्स हैं, वो पूरे ही नहीं हो रहे हैं। उसको भरपेट खाना भी नहीं मिल रहा है, उसको क्या नाम है, अब्यूज एक्सप्लॉयटेशन भी, वो वल्नरेबल है चारों तरफ, उसको रोज घर में डांट पड़ रही है, पढ़ाई का कोई माहौल नहीं है। और आपने 3 साल के बाद जब जाके उसका इवैल्यूएशन किया तो आपने देखा कि अब इसका बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ये है कि इसको घर से निकाला जाए, और वो मैंने जो बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट सोचा था वो गलत था, right? So there has to be an absolute differentiation between what are the, I mean, absolute need at that particular time, and what will be the best interest of the child. So we'll
जुनैद
move
सर,
to the
इसमें
next.
सिर्फ
Yes.
एक चीज सिर्फ ऐड करेंगे, प्रेसिंग नीड इज ऑफ कोर्स बेसिक नीड्स, बट एट द सेम टाइम द अर्जेंट नीड्स, दोज नीड्स व्हिच आर अर्जेंट, वो भी
Yeah.
एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है।
Yes.
So and at the same time I will give an example, living example है हमारे पास एक, it is in the case of Bihar, Leena ji and everybody is aware about that. There is a girl named Lalu Kumari. So उनका चाइल्ड मैरिज हुआ था, एंड फिर वो घर से चली गई, भाग गई, और वो मुंबई में रही काफी दिन, फिर वापस उनको लाया गया एंड फिर फैमिली में उसको रिस्टोर कर दिया गया। सो जो एक प्रोसेस होता है, बट यहीं पे ये डिफरेंस हुआ। बेसिक नीड जो आप प्रेसिंग नीड एंड बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट बोल रहे हैं, सो बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ये माना गया कि उसको घर वापस भेज दे, बट जैसे वो घर गई उनका वो एक्सप्लॉयटेशन, अब्यूज एंड एवरीथिंग स्टार्टेड। सो एट लास्ट वहां से फिर उनको निकलना पड़ा। नाउ शी इज इन द चाइल्ड केयर इंस्टीट्यूशन इन गया। सो आप देख लीजिए, दिस इज द लाइव एग्जांपल हाउ प्रेसिंग नीड एंड बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट को हम लोग कई बार अंडरस्टैंड नहीं करते, मतलब डेफिनेशन समझते हैं बट कंटेक्स्ट में भूल जाते हैं कई बार। सो
Right. So needs, yeah.
Very
So,
right.
the basis of the best interest of the child is only one small but very important aspect for a case manager to start working, right? लेकिन जो केस मैनेजमेंट का पूरा काम है वो सिर्फ बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट पे डिपेंड नहीं करता है। और ये बहुत बड़ा मेजर डिफरेंस है एक इंस्टीट्यूशनल केयर की सोच रखना और एक नॉन इंस्टीट्यूशनल केयर की सोच रखना। सो अगर आप एक इंस्टीट्यूशनल केयर की सोच रखते हैं तो आप बच्चे का जो प्रेजेंट नीड आपको दिख रहा है वो ही आप बेस्ट मानेंगे, और आप उस बच्चे को हमेशा चाहेंगे कि ये हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशन में ही रहे और हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशन में ही ये बड़ा हो और यहीं से निकले और ये बन के निकले। वो भी डिसाइड होगा कि डांसर बन के निकलेगा, नहीं तो एक्टर बन के निकलेगा, नहीं तो पायलट बन के निकलेगा, नहीं तो डॉक्टर बन के निकलेगा, नहीं तो इंजीनियर। नाउ केस मैनेजर जो है वो सिर्फ बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट को आधार मान के नहीं चलता है, उसके कुछ प्रिंसिपल्स, तो वो एक प्रिंसिपल्ड अप्रोच लेके चलता है। जब आप प्रिंसिपल्ड अप्रोच लेके चलते हैं तो सबसे पहले तो आपको नॉन जजमेंटल होना पड़ता है। इस लिस्ट में हालांकि वो 3rd नंबर पे है, नॉन जजमेंटल, बट सबसे पहले केस मैनेजर के लिए बहुत जरूरी है that the case manager has to be a non judgmental person। आप किसी भी बच्चे के सिचुएशन को देख के कोई भी उसकी जो कोई भी आपके जो प्री कंसीव्ड नोशंस हैं, बायसेस हैं, नॉर्म्स हैं, उस you cannot work on that basis। You cannot decide that if a child is very good at mathematics, we are generally judgmental and we say that, oh, this child will become a very good engineer, you know, but this is not the approach of a case manager। A case manager will not make any of his own understandings as a reason to believe something regarding the future of the child, right? So where the case manager has to start, what are the principles that a case manager has to adopt in his life, is to start from being child focused। So first of all, and all of us say that we have to we have to be child focused, and we have so many times we did जब चाइल्ड लाइन के मीटिंग होते थे, रंजना को पता होगा, रंजना कैन रिकॉल दैट हम लोग जब बॉम्बे में चाइल्ड लाइन ट्रेनिंग के लिए जाते थे तो ये हमारे नारे थे। हम कहते थे
यस सर,
हाँ, चाइल्ड लाइन क्या है? चाइल्ड लाइन चाइल्ड फोकस्ड है। चाइल्ड लाइन कैसे काम करता है? चाइल्ड लाइन नीड बेस्ड काम करता है। चाइल्ड लाइन कैसा है? चाइल्ड लाइन नॉन जजमेंटल है।
नारा लेते रहते थे।
You remember we used to do नारेबाजी,
Yes, sir.
uh,
Outreach
stick
program
up.
especially.
And then we used to make placards. We used
Yes.
to make posters on
Yes.
child focused, on need based. So many work we did,
Yes.
right? So why was it important in Childline to do all this? Because it was a very big struggle for Childline to keep case managers away from the institutional thinking. ये थिंकिंग नहीं चाहिए थी कि आप बच्चा मिले जैसी सड़क पे उसको एक भर्ती कर दो सीसीआई में, गवर्नमेंट में या प्राइवेट में, और उसके बाद आपका कोई रोल नहीं, वो लोग देखेंगे, वो खाना देंगे, वो कपड़ा देंगे. नो, चाइल्डलाइन उसके बियॉन्ड जाता था. चाइल्डलाइन का रूल था कि बच्चे उसमें इंस्टीट्यूशन में इज द लास्ट रिजॉर्ट, राइट? सो एनीवे, सो चाइल्ड फोकस means treat every case, every client individually. So यहाँ child से भी हट के बात हुई, उसको एक ऐसा client देखना जरूरी है. Keeping child central in decision making. जैसे एक lawyer अपने client को central रख के कोर्ट में केस लड़ता है, दुनिया इधर से उधर हो जाए, but the lawyer will stick to the client's benefit, client's benefit. कई बार तो विजय माल्या के भी लॉयर्स हैं, तो वो अपने क्लाइंट का ही बेनिफिट देखते हैं, you know. So here the difference is that you never, when you are child focused, one care has to be taken that the client will also be vulnerable to a lot of things. Maybe is vulnerable to risk factors, and so how you have to see. So that's why the second thing is identifying the needs of the child, the best interest and needs of the child on that basis. Leena ji, ye okay, I think
लीना drop हो गई क्या?
Lina ma'am has
yeah,
dropped out.
the presentation
Oh.
has, so maybe I'll try to share my screen if I
Yes,
can.
please do that. But she has to make you the host.
I will see if I can.
No, you can't till she
You are
makes
the
you
host now. Yes, yes. So I am the host.
Oh, okay. Then you can start. What happened to her?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's here. Yeah. So right. So that's why. So to balance the, sometimes you will become so focused on the child, right? Like suppose a child who's under juvenile justice, or maybe child in conflict with law, and has been involved in some heinous crime, and you are advocating for the best interest of that child, right? So you will have to keep in mind the best interest of the child also, right? So if you fight in the court and get the child out, maybe he is vulnerable to the gang or some risk outside. So then, okay, so the next principle of case management is to be needs based, right? Interventions have to be as per the specific requirements. So then, and how it is different we'll discuss later, but for now we can just run through. Non-judgmental we already discussed, and also non-authoritarian. Follow laws and rules, but beyond the straitjacket. So here is a very important clue, like important comparison, that non-author. So now the juvenile justice system was always authoritarian. It's not that it is now it has become like this. It was in 1986 Act, for example, the NGOs were not supposed to set up any observation home or any, so licensing had totally stopped, and entire juvenile justice system had come in the hands of the government. And then so government and non-authoritarian are not two separate things, the one and the same thing. So if so, whenever government will do anything, it will always be because they have authority, they have to be authoritarian. So so by 2000 this was felt by the government that the law needs to change and has to become a private law, a public private law, where some part government will do, some part NGOs or maybe private sector will do. Yeah.
Junaid sir,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Lina ma'am is in the waiting room, I think so.
Okay. So what should I do?
Please let her in. Admit her.
Let us. So should we continue like this or?
Yeah. See,
waiting room.
yeah.
Okay, what?
Please check in the like participant.
Okay. Let me admit Leena, then she
Yeah.
can become. Let me admit Neeraj also. Okay,
Okay.
I've done it.
Yes.
So now Leena can change to
Yes. Sir. Done.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So
Huh?
these are
Neeraj has also dropped out. No, Neeraj is here.
yeah. So these are just one liners like non-authoritarian or collaborative. What one has to think that, and one has to think and relate with our work with child protection, and I would say that being non-authoritarian, for example, is not a new concept in child care and protection. It has been discussed in London or England for last 200 years, right? There are many Charlie Chaplin films which show the authoritarian rule on the lives of street children in London, for example. If you see a film called Kid, or if you read a book by Charles Dickens, which is the most famous on the topic of juvenile justice, is Oliver Twist. If you read it, then you will see that how the authoritarian approach was there in Europe and how now it is not there, like how it has vanished in thin air, right? In the US, and so US is the offshoot of the European society. Now, then we say that one of the principles of case management is being collaborative, which is again very important. So we discuss about multi-sectoral collaborations, we discuss about multi-organizational, we discuss about multi-services to reach the client. The client is the child, and these services have to reach there. So a manager has to think. So this is what uh, the role of the management in child care and protection is. Now, one would say that in a CCI also there are managers and they work in collaborative approach, and they get, so under the JVJJ purview, if you see that it's not so easy to get outside agencies to service the child inside the four walls of the institution. So one has to go out of the institutions. First of all, take all the authoritative licenses and authoritative sanctions from different authorities, that okay, what will be the timing of the child of coming to this service, what service. So there are
Junaid,
yeah.
Junaid, can you put this on recording since you are the host?
I'm still host.
You are the host. Can you just put this on recording
I will
on cloud?
I will try.
Yeah.
From where? Remote control, back rooms. I'm not finding the recording button. How is this?
Junaid, when you go to more, I think it says record.
Okay, back. There is back breakout room, pause, stop recording, pause recording. So I'm getting pause recording.
No, so
it is
okay, which
recording.
means it's already recording.
Okay,
That's
fine.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
already on record.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Right.
Yeah, I had put it on
Right.
recording, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
so one slide before, okay, slide change. Okay, let me come back to this and we'll quickly finish this slide. So collaborative, we all understand, but only difference is that collaboration is in a very different context. Principle, follow a child's rights, framework and interest. So I would not say that childcare institutions are not principled. They are also based on very noble principles. People who are running CCI are all noble. Lala Bhagwan Das in particular city, he set up so many orphanages which are now CCIs. And you know, a noble person would set up a place where orphan children can stay. That no doubt about it. It's only that the management approach is a little different. So here the principles. So for example, the principle of non-involvement, right? So that is one of the principle of case management, that you do work for a particular child, but you don't get emotionally involved or in any way involved with the child, right? So there the idea is that you help the child, but the child should forget your help in coming. Otherwise, he would always be under some kind of trauma or some kind of thinking like somebody has helped me. Okay, so that will result, and in many societies, it is like the Western societies, it is expected that children should grow up as confident individuals, not as people who have come out from somebody's charity or somebody's help, right? So how to develop a child protection system where you don't have a system which depends the children on you, right? So this is one of the principle one of the principles is to being principled in your approach, right? Promotive, so take stand and advocates for the child. So here CCIs will not be able to promote the or advocate for the child. So will not, promotive means that fighting for the best interest of the child, right? Because the CCIs will have a limitation in going out, and so suppose tomorrow if there is a claim on in some services that the child's father's name is not available on the certificate, right? So the CCI will have to go and take the stand, but when the child came in the CCI, at that time mistake was done, right? So how will the CCI be able to represent the child in the court? The court will say, oh, it is you who have done this. Now somebody else has to correct this. So that somebody else is the case management, which has now come into picture. And it is holistic. Like, it's not time bound, it goes on for a long time. Participatory is involve the child and family and every other stakeholder into the intervention planning, right? And then again we say that case management is transparent. It does not work in isolation. That is, these are some of the principles, and then there are guiding principles. How do we place ourselves? Like earlier, I remember that in 2001 when we used to go and talk to the so if anybody has any question on this, we can take. Otherwise, we have already taken 2-3 questions and move ahead. Okay, so guiding. So so these are, so earlier, so I was saying that, so if you talk about 20 years back or 18, 20, 25 years back, then if a case manager has to say repatriate a child from one place to another, and the child belongs to that city, there was no guiding principle. There was what is the basis? Like, guiding principles are which gives us confidence. Okay, like a policeman, when a policeman stops somebody on the street light, he has the Constitution of India and his surface document to give him authority to do that. 20 years back, this authority was not there. However, in the Constitution of India, it was there. If one goes by the Constitution of India, then we don't need any other law. That is also true. That under the light of the Constitution, you can help anybody. You can do any good work. And Constitution of India never guides you to do anything which is wrong for anybody. Right? This is a natural beauty of the Constitution of India. So if you see the directive principle which protects children and youth from abuse, exploitation, and abandonment. So if you focus on the term abandonment, right? Abandonment from what? Right? This can be explained, and this was added 50 years back, 70 years back in the Constitution. Abandonment from the family. So so it sets the goal for the case management principle. So guiding principle for the case. Then came the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1989, which is an exhaustive document on how case management should work in maintaining the best interest of the child and oriented towards the child's right to a family. However, the right to a family is now added in UNCRC through amendment last year in November. The UN guidelines came in 2010 on alternative care of children, and they are very, very clear about keeping children in or returning them to the family care, of following what are the solutions, and permanent and non-permanent solutions. Like, foster care is there, adoption is there, and these UN guidelines and convention are a guideline for the government of India to change the laws appropriately. And this is how the Juvenile Justice Act was first amended in 2000, and then it was amended in 2015 to follow the family-based care amendments, family-based care policies at the United Nations level. Right. So the JJ Act, right. Just before the JJ Act, the government brought out the National Policy for Children in 2013. This national policy is very, very important and a powerful tool in the hands of the case managers. The national policy talks about the family as the best place for the child to grow and develop. It's very clear in the national policy. And so maybe our Prime Minister has seen national policy, all the Prime Ministers have seen the national policy, and this is where the crux of the government works. The government does not go into acts and laws, and the cabinet, I mean, they go into the policy. So when they see the policy, it's always clear in front of the cabinet that, oh, we talk about family-based care, then why are we running so many CCIs? That is a particular question which may be asked in the cabinet secretariat time and again, and some people will say, no, we are midway, it is necessary for us to keep some CCIs also. And actually it is necessary as of now. Integrated Child Protection Scheme was brought, and of course when you have a national policy, when you have an act which has been, so your integrated child protection scheme will also be in line. And it is very, very, you don't need any SOP, you don't need any document if you follow ICPS. It has all the measures for how a child will be prevented from getting separated from the family, or how the child will be rehabilitated back in the family. What is the role of the village level child protection committee? What is the role of block level child protection committee? All the roles, responsibilities, everything is there in the integrated child protection scheme. However, one has to always know that integrated child protection scheme is a financial scheme. So if there is finances available with the government, this scheme will be put in place. If finances are not available, nobody will implement it, right? So it is not a law, it is not an act, and most of the things in ICPS are not in the law. So one has to work towards how ICPS can come into either law, and the easier way is to bring it in practice. What we are doing, like what we did in Odisha with Udyan Care and CRS partnership, is we went to ICPS and we started implementing the ICPS provisions in practice, right? So a CWC member may be saying that, where is the funds, ma'am? ICPS said that fund will be provided for repatriation of children, but where are the funds? We don't have any funds. So one has to tell them, give them a way how they can do those things in practice rather than just depending on the scheme to come. Then there are systems and structures which are our guiding principles now, which are among the guiding principles, like the roles of the child welfare services or CWC and JJP extended into gatekeeping, restoration, or pre-adjudicatory mechanism which JJP is following, and rehabilitation, alternative care decisions and management. Then the roles of the now we have district level child protection system, village level child protection system, we have block level child protection. At least district level child protection we have in most of the districts in India today. So DCPUs are functioning in most of the country. So these are the bases which have formed, and we are more confident in taking up the cases of children who may be needing family placement, maybe in the biological family, and there are certain problems which have to be removed in the biological family. Those maybe we can go out and find out an alternative family for the child, a family which was non-existent, which is not related to the child yet created for the child especially. So the child gets a papa, a mama, brother and sister where none existed. The child was an orphan, had nobody. But now the last guiding principles which we discussed have given us huge opportunity, very big scope for both of the things. right? So we'll move to the next. And from that policy, from those principles flow, like now what should be the role of the case manager? How we should think that where should we place ourselves? हम अपने आप को कहाँ पे रख के काम करें, right? Like when we go in the field, or when we talk with the child, or when we talk with the CCI, or when we talk with the CWC, or with any of the authorities or the child or the family, तो हमारे अंदर एक कॉन्फिडेंट ये होना चाहिए कि हमारा रोल क्या है. Everybody will ask you that why have you come? CCI will ask you कि आप आए क्यों हो. हम इतनी फाइल्स तो हम मेंटेन करते हैं, इतने डॉक्यूमेंट्स तो हम मेंटेन करते हैं, आप तो कुछ करते नहीं है, तो फिर आप आए क्यों इधर, आपका रोल क्या है? So one has to think about it, that the role is very clear and it can be written in 6-7 points. One is to mitigate child's separation from their families. That is the first role that one has to think that, and it comes from the principles and everything, and anybody can take this role of case management under the current scheme of things, unless and until government comes out with a notification that okay, only recognized case managers will be allowed to work with the child in the interface of juvenile justice system. Others will not be allowed. It is not there as of now. Even Childline is you would say unstatutory. It's not a statutory organization. It's a private organization. Even so, all of us, all the NGOs and everybody. So it's just the mindset that we have to change. So if I today decide that I have to take the role of a case manager, and let me go to meet the child welfare committee, and let me see how many children are there which the child welfare committee has failed to place in the family. So let me become a case manager. So I will start that management, and I will go and talk to the CCI, talk to the child, talk to the family, create the situations which will see that the CWC is happy that, oh, you have been able to reintegrate the children, so many children, right? So that service is what you are going to do. This is what you have to make possible in the field, right? As of now, it is not existing. As of now, if you go to any CWC, we'll say that how reintegration will happen? Who will go and talk to the family? I don't have staff, and DCPU does not listen, things like that. But here you will say, sir, I will go and I will talk to the family. You just give this case to me, I will go and I will do it, right? So CWC will be so happy to know this, that all their troubles have been sorted out, because so many high court orders are coming, so many Supreme Court observations are coming into non-implementation of the family-based care in the juvenile justice system. Anyway, so first is to mitigate. So first we think that okay, we will not let any child get separated from the family. And then there are SOPs, there are things, how you do this is another thing, and how case manager is more suitable to do this and more, is more capable of doing it rather than a person working in the institution. So a person working inside the institution will not get time from children's daily needs, that to go out and talk to the village level child protection committee, prepare them and tell them that okay, see, these conditions were there in particular village, and so many children from that village are now in CCI. So your village is also going to have that situation. Your children will leave the village and go to the CCIs unless you change yourself and you form a proper committee in the village and do all these things. Maybe start a child-friendly center in the village, start a group day foster care center for the children, start sponsorship for the children. So many things which can be done in mitigation, and it is all there in integrated child protection scheme, and various SOPs. One SOP which we have prepared, that also can be consulted. Facilitate what? Reintegration of separated children with biological families. So these are two major goals for the case managers, two major roles. One is mitigate, another is facilitate reintegration. So this mindset has to be very strong for the case. Just like a Childline worker's mindset, which Ranjana can vouch for, is absolutely focused on taking the child away from the CCI and into the family, not in the CCI, because child worker will lose the job. If I had reported to Child and India Foundation that I am helping my organization keep the children inside the institution, so here it will always a misunderstanding with the CCI between case for some time, unless both come on the same page regarding the priority to the family based care for the child. Then you, so sometimes people will say what to do with children who have lost the family, they don't have any biological family. Then there is a route of alternative family. So the Juvenile Justice Act says that foster care can be explored, or even a group foster care component is there in the juvenile. So group foster care is also a form of alternative, very close to family based care or alternative family based care, and group foster care is done under the institutional supervision. So some institution has to create group foster care if the child's biological family does not exist. And even Udin Care has a group foster care in Dwarka, and but we need to, there are immense possibilities in group foster. So recently there was a talk going on that should there be group foster care centers in the hospitals when children come, and if children don't have any biological linkage. So hospitals can be licensed, any individual can be licensed, and the individual or any entity can start a group foster care after due diligence and after due processes which have to be followed as per the JJ rules 2016. Locate. So another role of case management is locate. Find either family or a family-like place for those without biological. So family for the children who have biological linkages, and a family-like place for children who don't have biological linkages. So in locate, now there are immense scope. There's immense scope. Okay, we are not doing it quite often. That's why we think that, okay, who will authorize? If I suppose I have identified a family who's ready to take 2 children in Junagadh, take 2 children in foster care. But if I go and talk to the CWC, they will just not allow, because they will say, where is child protection? How you will ensure that the child is not trafficked by the family or in any way abused or harmed by the family. So all those questions will demoralize us. We'll say that, so we'll think that this work is very tough. That all of us are saying that this work is very tough, not possible in Indian context. But for a case manager, there are ways and methods how all this can be done in a management mindset. It's a management. These are all management processes which have to be followed. So when you can send a rocket in on Mars, you can do anything. That is an example of management. How everything is managed. You know, there are different departments, there are different ways people work. So the person who is dreaming to set the rocket on Mars has to make use of all those technological knowledge and people who are there on the ground. Then, as we said, collaboration. So case managers have to collaborate on a large scale to help a particular child. So any client, any child will be needing X, Y, Z different type of support. Some child, suppose, is very good in tennis, and you know, when he was here, and I know a child who lost whose father lost a job and during COVID, and he went. He is good in skating. He was doing very good skating in his school in Delhi. So he was going to a middle class school, and very nicely he was studying. Suddenly his father lost the job, and he had to go and stay in the village. What will he do? There is no skating, there is no football, there is nothing. So what father did, arranged a trainer from somewhere, locally identified a trainer, and he got the trainer. He got a person who knew skating, said, I will teach your son. So that person now comes every day and teaches his son. Right? So collaborations in a management mode of, so it's very different from the role inside of the people inside the institution. Inside the institution, people think that every service is available on a phone call, right? So if you call from a particular CCI and say that I'm speaking from so and so place, people are so sympathetic that doctor will say, I'm just coming in 5 minutes. The doctor will come in 5 minutes, right? But in a non-institutional setting where the child has been placed away in a village where you don't have that kind of facility, the child will call the doctor and doctor will say, you bring the child to me about 100 kilometers from here or 50 kilometers or maybe 20 kilometers to the district headquarters. Here I am, I will provide the services. So there is the role of the case manager on how to operationalize this kind of support system for a particular child who has been placed from a CCI. And then there are safeguards which a case manager has to always think about and be prepared for. Both children inside the institution as well as outside the institution, to safeguard what? Their rights, their interests. And when we talk about rights, so yes, there should not be the slightest worry about any child protection concern coming for the child in any way. So that is there. And strengthening. One of the role of the case management is in strengthening. So if you compare with the institutional workers like who work, they don't bother about strengthening any other outside agencies. Okay, they are always being asked about their own strengths, right? That like, how do you feed a child? What time children get up? What time children go to their school? What time children, the teacher comes? What time the tuition classes happen? What time this happen? And a timetable has to be followed. So he has to always be very alert, disciplined, and things like that. But case management, case manager always works with the approach of strengthening others. So the child has to be strengthened. The family has to be strengthened. So here, in a CCI setting, a child will not bother to cook his food. The child will not bother to get his clothes washed himself. The child will not bother to wash the plates. The child will not bother to think about his future also, because there are people who are thinking about it, and there is a and the people who are doing it, even the bed sheets of the child will he himself will refuse. Why will I do my bed? There are caregivers who will do for me, but this is not how case management works. The case management first of all works with the child to strengthen the child, empower the child with a lot of things, with mindset change, behavioral change, abilities, skills development, also self-image, confidence, so many things which are there which a case manager works on with the child. Then family strengthening is another component which goes simultaneously. So the family also, and how it is done is also explained, and strengthening of the communities, strengthening of the systems, strengthening of the services. So even strengthening of the systems. Now, if you go and look at the child welfare committee of your district, wherever you are working, you will, in some cases, you will see that the CWC does not have even the files of the child. Even the basic documents are missing. The CWC will say, we are clueless and we are helpless. We don't know. We placed the child in the CCI 3 years back, but we don't know how to read a development plan or maybe ICPS of the child, individual care plan. They have not submitted an SIR. That is a very, 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 very strong observation that in every case you will find. Not only just, I think in Delhi, you will find a plethora of, huge amount of information. CWCs will say, yes, we have this under DCPU, all the reports are coming online, but except Delhi, right? You will not get complete, or not only complete, it's a basic information you will not get for many children. Rarely you will find an ICP which is properly prepared, which is an SIR which is properly done, right? So this is where, after this, we will go to the next slide. If you allow, or if you have any question, you can ask. Yeah, should we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the need, and where is the need for case management or alternative care of children? Till now, I would say till about 5 years back, when the law was not there, so case managers were finding it very tough to work in the CCI system. We have known, by virtue of working in organizations, we know that large number of people wanted to serve the CCIs. So there were n numbers of Dr. Harveen Kapoor's or Mr. Kapil Dev's or Mr. Vinit Nerulas, and so many people who wanted to do something for the children in the CCI. But all those things you can debate on, like were not. They were not able to mentor children in CCIs in a very proper manner, or volunteer in a proper manner. It was just very tokenistic. Somebody did something, then vanished, and somebody, they were not able to, guide this life cycle of the child. That what was actually there in their minds. Maybe because if I go to serve in an orphanage or in a CCI, I will be thinking from the entire life cycle point of the child. If I work with a child, I should see the child reach his goals, ambitions, things like that. Still, there are a large number of children in institutional care, and many have their families outside, which we know by virtue of data, which is there with the government, which is there with the international organizations. Now, both, I would say, the charity-oriented approach and bureaucratic approach have failed. We know very well. We saw during 1986 to 2000 what happened to the bureaucratic approach, and still some people are fighting for bureaucratic approach. So if you go and talk to some of these earlier Department of Women and Child specialists sitting as a director or workers, they would say, we were very happy when Juvenile Justice Act 86 was there. Actually, we were able to pick children from the roads and put them in such nice homes that we had created, right? So they always fight for this. And people who have charity oriented approach, they always say that, oh, we are providing them such nice clothes, we are providing them such nice toys to play, such nice classrooms, we are sending them for sports coaching and things like that. How will this happen in a family based? Okay, now children spending longer time in institutional care has negative impacts. That is very well understood by virtue of the truckload of research which is available in Oxford, which is available at Harvard, it's available at Columbia University, and all of them have one truck full of studies on orphanages and orphan children and CCI and negative impacts. And if you want to see films, there are at least 120 films on the issue of what happens to the children in institutional care, negative impact. And at least Charlie Chaplin has 5 films under his belt on this issue. If you talk about books, 5 books Charles Dickens has written. Then like if you read this book, Tom Sawyer, it talks about family, why family is important. This book was written at a time when institutional care was the word in Europe. Like you can't even question institutional care during the 19th century. Meanwhile, the laws have changed worldwide, and institutional care is either non-existing or a means of last resort in most of the world. And we have got data, one can access the data, and all this is available in many reports of Udayan Care, and especially the research document which comes out biannually. Now,
Junaid sir, 2 points.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly pitch in 2 points here? When you mention all the movies and the studies and documents that evidence the harm of children in institutions, obviously they are done very scientifically and are robust data presented, but there is nothing of such evidence that has so far emerged in the Asian context. Leave behind India. So I wanted some elaboration of that point. In terms of how do we import all the Western evidence into the Indian and Asian context, and how right is that? And the second one, interestingly, so many books you mentioned, I think there's also Harry Potter, and Kiran ma'am has a very good analysis of the Harry Potter, thing. So I don't know if Kiran ma'am is still around and she wants to talk about that. You're on mute, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm very much here. I'm listening to Junaid very, very carefully. Yeah, thank you. Actually, it came to my mind. Lumos people, they were coming to us again and again, and they are.
Can't hear you, ma'am.
Yeah. Somehow
you
it
got
got
mute.
muted.
Yeah, can't hear you.
So, Lumos people were coming to us again and again, and they were just not convinced that people in residential care can feel like a family. So, when this guy who's in Harry Potter, that Malfoy's father, he was the actor who came and met our children. So I said, you can speak to them. I'm sitting separately. So he tried his level best to convince the children, and the children kept on telling him how all the children in their class, they feel jealous of them, then how happy they are without parents. Nobody to breathe down their neck and all that. And everything is explained to them rather than being pushed down the throat. Like in normal families, it happens. And after that, we wrote one article, and finally it got published also in Huffington Post. We tried our level best to reach out to this lady, Harry Potter writer. What's her name?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
Rolling, yeah.
J.K.
J.K.
Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, so we tried our level best. My idea was that, on one hand, you are saying families are always bad. One should not have this kind of institutions are always bad, and children should be in family. But, one has to look at the best interest of the child, where the child should be. Not for every child, institution is bad and a family is good. Your own Harry Potter, you have created him, and where he lives with his family, they push him into that cupboard under the staircase, and when he goes to the institution, Hogwarts or whatever it is called, how he flowers, and obviously there was no answer from them. Then finally we got this article published in Huffington Post.
Yeah, great. So
May I also add a comment on this, please?
Yeah.
So while getting some children fill up needs assessment forms over the past few days, I also actually observed what Kiran ma'am is saying. So it also goes both ways. So we want like the end point is that we want the best interest of the child, and we try our best to make sure. So the CCIs are also trying their best to have a try to put the child in a family based setup, but the families also need to respond, and so there were many cases in which the initially, and the family was also very positive, but unfortunately because of a lack of patience or whatever you say on both sides, the child or the family, cases did not work out. And there were also cases in which children got it was also in a way negative but also positive, that children loved being in CCI so much that they were not mentally prepared to leave the CCI even at the age of 18, forget going to a family. So that is another interesting issue that came up. So, that's
yeah. So this these are very
Junaji, before going further, I just wanted to share my personal experience working in the field of juvenile justice for last 10 to 15 years almost. So what we are talking about, the case management and the principles and other lot of things. But in practical, what we see that all principles are, kept aside, and we just follow the process, the procedure, the section, the rules and all. And this happens in all the cases. I have seen even Childline, CWC is there. Everybody, child protection stakeholders just follow the procedure, because the principles are very good. It is not about the case management only. For anything, we have the very well-led, very good principles are there. But ultimately, what we are doing, because child is there who is not going to say anything on his own. So we all decide what is best for him and what principle we have to follow. Say out of the guiding principle, the 16 guiding principle of JJ Act, we all decide on our own. So this is one major problem that I personally feel is, I mean, and if you see the JJ Act 2015, I just checked, only one place we have seen case management word has come. And at the same time in the JJ rule 2016, even they have not mentioned once. So this is the situation. And one more thing, like whatever you are talking here in the case management, it is good if you are working in a particular district or a particular place, but many a times a child resides in a CCI who is not from the particular district or maybe in the particular state. So case management is very important. Inter-district or inter-state case management system should be there.
Yeah.
So this is also very important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can't work in isolation.
Yeah. So these are also three very powerful discussion points that is, of course, the so we need so in Indian context, as Leena was saying and ma'am was saying, that in context of the Harry Potter, and we so in India we don't have, like, we are not recording in that. So 20 years back or 25 years back, we were all working in juvenile justice system, and we have not undertaken any studies. So 20 years back or in 1986, that some work the law colleges have done. Maybe Professor Ved Kumari has written some papers, or Dr. Hira Singh has written some papers, but they are very, very specific to the bureaucratic juvenile justice system management, not in terms of how Charles Dickens wrote in the 19th century, or not how H.G. Wells wrote about Gibbs, who was an orphan child and he was an apprentice from a institution. How he, what he faced in life later, he was and how he lost in front of the royalty or in front of the blue blood. That book, or those type of thoughts. Because what I believe and what I see is that somewhere, so we are at a very archaic state in juvenile justice. London was there in 1930s, where we are now. So maybe in London you used to see street children in 1920s and 30s who were Gora British children. Today you cannot even imagine. You cannot even imagine one Gora British or American child begging on the street or getting into child labor. Suppose I employ an American child today in some of the child labor, or making a leather bag or leather. In our country, millions of children are into child labor. Millions. Every day we get news that Bachpan Bachao Andolan has rescued 500 children, 600 children. And we always see children selling things on the street lights. Imagine a Gora child selling it. United States will come with missiles to that country. They will stop everything in their country. Everything. They will say that we are going to rescue one American child from a country where American child is involved into child labor. The society, this is not done by the government. This has not been done by any law or anything. This is what society decided about 80 years or 90 years back, 100 years back. The society decided after the First World War that they will not have children kept inside the institutions. The American society, a Native American thought, or a native English person thought it very bad, that my children are staying in my home. They watch TV, they play cricket, they go out, they have friends, and then I create a building in my neighborhood, which I say, okay, if some children lose their parents, let them be there. This is what the Society of the United Kingdom decided about 100 years back, that no, if I can give one room to my own kid, let me give another room to an orphan kid. Maybe he will kill me, maybe he will harm me, maybe his father will be a black, maybe his father will be a white, maybe his father will be a Muslim. but let that child be in my house rather than staying in the block orphanage, or maybe because there were block orphanages in London all over till about 1920s. There was a law in London where it was compulsory for every lane to have an orphanage in the town planning scheme of the country, that London will have one orphanage in every lane of the residential society, but there is none now. Anyway, so I mean, then yes, we can. These are all research areas. Maybe we can,
I know we are getting late, but to my utter surprise.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Again, your.
Ma'am, you are on mute. We can't hear.
I'm saying, to my utter surprise, of late in the last 2-3 years, again, orphanages are coming back in London.
Yeah.
Because they are realizing that foster family is not working all the time.
Yeah.
And there are children who need, this kind of care. And I myself went, the street was such an interesting name, Honeypot Street. And I visited that orphanage, and they had only 5 children given 5 rooms, huge rooms. Every child had a bathroom of his own, and big computers, everything, and 8 hourly duties. And my God, so many staff members. That's why they find it very, very expensive to run institutional care. That's why also, they are so much for foster care. But foster care world over, just like in institutional care, there are such bad cases coming out. In foster care also, many bad cases are coming out.
Yeah.
So the best place for the thing is to be with the family, their own family, and train the family to look after their children.
I totally agree. And then we have the entire model of Udayan care. I have very extensively studied, and being a person like me, I have studied from outside. I mean, have So what I believe is that it's extremely difficult. What Udayan care has done is one of example in the country where so the most important need of a child is to have relations. In a CCI, in a normal CCI, if I compare with any other CCI, you don't have relations. In a CCI where you have small number of children, which Udayan care is running in small group homes, children are able to form relations. That is very important. I have live examples. I mean, I was there for 2 years, and I've been there more than that time. And there are children who come from Bombay, and they call somebody, they are calling Bua, somebody is auntie, somebody. It is because of the people makes difference. So the difference, there is of course difference in living standards first of all, and also the setting is very important. So Udayan care, or maybe small group homes worldwide, maybe in US or other places, there is a difference in setting. So children are not staying in big buildings called orphanages or called big children's home. They are staying in houses. They have bedrooms, they have dining room, they have their drawing room, they have a TV, they go to school, they come back from the school, and trust. Main thing is that they are trusted that they will stay. But there's no, and in other CCIs, they're not trusted. They're treated, always planning to run away. So all the children always planning. In major CCIs, 99% of children plan to run away. But in a place like, so I mean, defining a family is not in strictly in mother, father, and sister, brother terms. If unknown people become my family, right? So they become my family, and I get all those juices or those those hormones or catalytical substances from my relations. So when I'm talking to my brother, I get different type of high. I get different type of emotional needs fulfilled. When I'm talking to my so if you find those relations in a particular organization, there is no problem. That's why the Juvenile Justice Act is open to small group homes, the group foster care, right? So that is not to be confused. It's so we are talking about creating a family-like environment. So if you have been able to create a family-like environment, then relations is one of the aspects, infrastructure is one of the aspects, how you respond. Like for example, I have seen children coming to Dr. Modi's office, and they are sorry, they are just barging into her office. I was sitting, and so many times I saw, and they are just fighting with her for this or that particular. In a formal CCI, you cannot imagine that a child is walking into the office of even the caseworker and fighting for particular need. I have seen children who call from Bombay. They say, "Bua, I want my passport." And I went with this girl. I spent one day with this girl, and for her passport is more important than any other person or any other thing. And so much resilience she has, that a policeman is saying something in front of her, some bad things which I don't want to repeat, and in front of us, some things. And I just got alarmed, and she said, "Bhaiya, don't need to worry. Udair Care has given us that much resilience. People like this keep saying, and nothing happens to us." A normal, maybe a common child from some other CCI would not be able to bear that and immediately slap the policeman, or maybe go into depression. So that is very important at this point of time, that we should never. So family is not defined in just terms of relations which are father, mother, sister. Family is also alternative family like situation. If you are able to create, which is very close to and resembles to a family, is also one of the solutions which is there in all the documents, which is there in JJ Act. It has a lot of scope, in UNCRC, even in UNGSCC. So that is there. But so the case management's orientation has to be towards that family-based care of children, and not so that is there. And there is a, as I said, that there is a lot of scope of creating those kind of systems where they don't exist. So, and it is easier than foster care, as you were discussing, that foster care, the reports on foster cares are not all good from the West. And this is one of the reasons that the government of India is not very keen about foster care. That's where small group home has has more scope as compared to. So small group homes can be created under the fit person category of the Juvenile Justice Act, and any recognized institution can take care of the small home. They can, even in the villages. I've explored in the villages, and we explored in Odisha. So Odisha, they were very keen on setting a group home at a village level.
Junaid,
Yes.
I'm sorry to cut you short, but you are running out of time. You have 21 slides. You're still on the 7th slide.
Achha,
And
those slides are there, but not all slides are meant for, So
Yeah.
I'll take the slides which are important.
Okay.
And let us see.
Okay.
So,
Junaid, just one point.
Yes.
Just one point.
Yeah.
I think it's very important at this point of time of the discussion.
Yeah.
What we're discussing, the entire juvenile justice system, the things that is there, it is basically reactionary. Whatever we do, like institution chahiye, it's also reactionary, because एक बच्चा जब it fall in the trap of some JJ system में आता है, वहाँ के बाद हम उसको डिसाइड करते हैं कि now we have to take him to CCI और आगे क्या करना है. अब जब ये हुआ कि इंस्टीट्यूशन में बच्चा रह गया, और उसके बाद अब ये समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं, उसको इंस्टीट्यूशन की जगह हम फैमिली में दें, फॉस्टर केयर एंड ऑल, ये सब रिएक्शनरी है. यहाँ के बजाय अगर ये देखिए, से फॉर एग्जांपल एक जस्ट वाइल्ड थॉट है, हमारे पास CCI है, इट इज ऑलरेडी देयर एंड इट इज गोइंग टू बी देयर फॉर लॉन्ग, आई थिंक सो. आप कितना भी अभी कुछ कर लें, तो इज इट पॉसिबल, लाइक हम ग्रुप होम्स की बात कर रहे हैं, वो आएगा ठीक है, बट जो अभी CCI है, व्हाई शुड चिल्ड्रन बी कन्फाइंड इन द आई मीन प्रीमाइसेस ऑफ CCI ओनली? कहाँ पे लिखा हुआ, किस लॉ में लिखा हुआ है कि एक बच्चा जो चिल्ड्रन होम के अंदर चला गया, बाहर से ताला हमेशा के लिए बंद कर देना है? क्या क्या इज इट नॉट पॉसिबल कि आसपास के जो कम्युनिटीज हैं, जो सोसाइटीज हैं, वहां पे हम इनका इंटरेक्शन इनके साथ, वो दे आर नॉट द मैन कल्प्रेट और मे बी क्रिमिनल और व्हाटएवर, तो और हम चाइल्ड राइट्स की भी बात करते हैं, तो क्या फैमिली आई मीन जबरदस्ती किसी को फैमिली ढूंढना, फॉस्टर केयर, ग्रुप फॉस्टर केयर, किनशिप केयर, ये वो, इसके बजाय अगर हम इमीडिएटली में देखें कि हमारे CCI के आसपास भी बहुत सोसाइटी है, फैमिली है, क्या वहां पे हम वो रैपो बिल्डिंग, बच्चों का इंटरेक्शन, एक जो रिलेशनशिप, आपने बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट बोला कि व्हाट दे मिस इज द रिलेशनशिप, तो वो पता चलेगा वहां पे, ये क्या इमीडिएट इस एंगल पे नहीं सोचना चाहिए? क्योंकि आई नो वेरी वेल कि फॉस्टर केयर का जो हाल यहाँ पे होने वाला है, जो फॉर्मल, इनफैक्ट इंडिया का हमारा इतिहास रहा है, चाहे वो हिंदू कम्युनिटी हो या मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी हो, हर का एक सोसाइटी का अपना सेफ्टी नेट हुआ करता था। इट्स नॉट अबाउट ओनली अ फैमिली, इट्स अ सोसाइटी एज अ होल, जहाँ पे अगर ऐसे बच्चे ऑर्फन हो भी जाते हैं तो एक सोसाइटी का एक सिस्टम हुआ करता था। आई थिंक इस पे कोई स्टडी होगा या नहीं होगा तो करना चाहिए। और अभी जब हम फॉर्मल फॉस्टर केयर की बात कर रहे हैं, ये आप देखिएगा कि आज से ICPS में फॉस्टर केयर का कंसेप्ट पिछले 5-6 साल से कर रहे हैं, बट इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क, इट इज नॉट वर्किंग वेरी वेल, क्योंकि इसका मॉनिटरिंग करना, आपने बताया गांव के अंदर में है, 50 किलोमीटर 60 किलोमीटर कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है, कोई मॉनिटरिंग सही ढंग से नहीं हो सकता। विलेज चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन कमिटी इज देयर, बट आपने बोला फाइनेंशियल स्कीम है ये, वो फाइनेंस उसके पास कुछ नहीं है। सो दीज आर द इश्यूज दैट आई थिंक वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम कि हम इस पे एड्रेस करें।
वेरी रेलेवेंट इश्यूज। और इस पे
सर मैं कुछ 2-3 लाइन बोलना चाहूंगी, कैन आई? रंजना दिस साइड सर। जुनैद सर, यस। हम लोग का जो CWC का जो एक्सपीरियंस रहा है रिगार्डिंग दिस, जो भी अभी जैसे कंसर्न्स रेज हो रहे हैं, उसमें एक दो चीज सर निकल करके आया है कि नाउ दीज डेज गवर्नमेंट इज इंटरेस्टेड एंड मोर देन गवर्नमेंट CWC में अब ये अप्रोच बहुत ज्यादा आ रहा है। स्पेशली मैं दिल्ली के कंसर्न में तो बात कर सकती हूँ कि फॉस्टर केयर को लेकर के ये चीज बन रही है कि इवन जो बच्चे CCI में है एंड जिनका कि दिख रहा है कि उनकी फैमिली नहीं है एंड दे आर ऑल्सो ऑन द वर्ज व्हेन वी आस्क देम कि आप अडॉप्शन में जाना चाहते हो, दे से नो वी डोंट वांट, एंड देयर वी आर वर्किंग अ लॉट कि उनको फॉस्टर फैमिलीज मिले ताकि उनका, अगर हम जो लॉन्ग टर्म रिहेबिलिटेशन देख रहे हैं इवन आफ्टर 18, क्योंकि हमने ऐसे केसेस में देखे हैं कि आफ्टर 18 के बाद भी बहुत चैलेंजेस आए हैं एंड देयर वी आर सीइंग कि अगर वो फॉस्टर फैमिली के साथ रहेंगे तो दैट वोंट बी एन इशू या समहाउ इट विल बी डेल्ट। A B the thing is that कि as far as even जो जैसे आपने जो शेयर किया केस मैनेजमेंट एंड इवन जो केस मैनेजमेंट आपके एक्ट के तहत में भी है कि सिर्फ केस मैनेजमेंट आता है, बट आपने जितनी चीजें बताई सर, these all are in the process and the DCPO is the main channel in this thing as far as assessing the family.
These are all in the processes, but they have reached dead end.
Yes, and
उसके बाद कुछ नहीं है कि मतलब वो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि आगे क्या करें, राइट? सो ये जो है इन इश्यूज पे हम एक तो फॉस्टर केयर पे हमें एक सेशन करना पड़ेगा पूरा, वो एक अलग है जहाँ पे हम ये डिस्कस करेंगे और सॉल्यूशंस हैं फॉस्टर केयर, वो हम कर सकते हैं। We can do longer, ये तो केस मैनेजमेंट पे ही है, तो हम इसको बिल्कुल मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स पे ही आज बात करें, बट ये अलग अलग इश्यूज हैं,
एकदम
को डेल्ट किया जाता है फॉस्टर केयर पे, क्योंकि हम लोगों का एक्सपीरियंस रहा है तो हम लोग बात कुछ करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अभी, राइट? सो वी कैन, या जैसे उन्होंने बोला कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यू है कि आसपास के लोगों में, राइट? सो कहते हैं लो हैंगिंग फ्रूट्स से आप स्टार्ट करो, आप क्यों इतने बड़े उसमें जा रहे हो कि हम फॉस्टर प्रोग्राम चलाएंगे? सो लो हैंगिंग फ्रूट्स के ऊपर भी हम बात कर सकते हैं, एंड देयर इज अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल कांसेप्ट व्हिच आई हैव शेयर्ड with some international organization on creating Yashoda Mata in India. Yashoda, so that scheme I am calling is Yashoda ASIA scheme. So we have not yet sent it to the ministry, but we can send it.
Sir, I'll just share one point, like जहाँ पे हम integration की बात कर रहे हैं इन बच्चों की भी, in our CWC also what we have done, like 2 to 3 things that we had done, कि हमने कम्युनिटी के बच्चों को स्पेशल फंक्शंस में बुलाया एंड उनको कहा कि आप परफॉर्म करो अलोंग विद द चिल्ड्रन ऑफ दीज CCI एंड दे बोथ टुगेदर, हमने उनको ग्रुपिंग किया एंड उनके साथ उनका परफॉर्मेंस कराया, सो दैट कि कहीं ना कहीं उनको ये भी समझ में आए कि जो कम्युनिटी के बच्चे हैं और उनकी थॉट्स, दैट इज ए। एंड डेफिनेटली जो हमारे CCI के बच्चे हैं वो जाते हैं गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में जाते हैं, उनकी इंटरेक्शन वो सारे बच्चों के साथ होती है जो नॉर्मल ये है, यानी inclusion is also there. So I think we just need to see कि कहाँ से हमें loops मिल सकता है and where we can integrate these things. That's there.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, and you will get your answer in my thing that जब
Yes.
हमने ये स्कीम मैं किसी स्टेट में प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी थे, वो मेरे बैच में उनसे बात कर रहा था. So I was telling him about Yashoda ASIA scheme, and he was dead against foster care. He was saying that what are you saying? Will somebody, so one aspect is that transcending cultural barriers is very important. जब तक इंडिया में हम लोग कल्चरल बैरियर्स को ट्रांसफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे, यहाँ पे हम सोच नहीं सकते हैं कि फैमिली में कोई बच्चा, ये हमारे घर में मेड जाती हैं जो घर में काम करने आती हैं, कई बार उनके बच्चे भी उनके साथ आ जाते हैं. सो हमारा बच्चा डाइनिंग टेबल पे बैठ के पिज्जा खा रहा होता है और हम उसके बच्चे को एक अमरूद देते हैं और वो दरवाजे पे बैठ के खाता है. वो हमारे बच्चे के साथ डाइनिंग टेबल पे तो बैठता नहीं है. हमारे घर की मेड जो है वो कौन से स्टेट से आई है, बिहार से या बंगाल से, यहाँ ये मैटर करता है कि उस स्टेट के लोग आए हैं, तो मेड हमारे साथ बैठ के डिनर नहीं करेगी, जबकि ये मेड अगर वेस्ट में होगी तो मालिक के साथ बैठ के डिनर करेगी. ये these are the cultural, then you come down to a बहुत जो बहुत ही strong cultural barriers हैं कि बच्चा कौन सी कास्ट से बिलोंग करता है, बच्चा कौन से रिलीजन से बिलोंग करता है, बच्चा कौन से रीजन से बिलोंग करता है. So all these things will have to be overcome. So as a society, when we overcome all these barriers and issues, then as Indians we will not mind. हमने सुबह दरवाजा खोला और हमने देखा एक बच्चा भीख मांग रहा था, हमने तुरंत जाके CWC को परमिशन को रिक्वेस्ट किया और CWC ने केस मैनेजर भेजा, उसने उसका काउंसलिंग किया और मैंने अपने एक बेडरूम में उस बच्चे को रख लिया. अगले दिन से वो बच्चा मुझे पापा बोल के बुलाने लगा. This is not a reality in our country, but this is a reality in many Western countries. बाद में वो बच्चे के साथ में बहुत सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स काम करते हैं, वो उसकी मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर काम करते हैं, काउंसलिंग पे काम करते हैं, चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन डिपार्टमेंट है. अगर फादर ने जोर से चिल्ला दिया बच्चे को तो वो बच्चा उस घर से दूसरे घर में चला जाता है. फिर उसके जो फ्रैक्चर है, जो प्लेसमेंट में फ्रैक्चर्स आते हैं, ये वो बच्चा एक घर से दूसरे घर जाता है, वो जो फ्रैक्चर आता है उस फ्रैक्चर पे काम करने वाले अलग डिपार्टमेंट हैं, वो काम करते हैं, वो ये देखते हैं कि बच्चे को इम्पैक्ट कम से कम हो. Anyway, but then let's move in this quickly, and I hope you have got some of the answers, right? Then so what are the objectives of case management at this point of time? Because abhi when you start your work in the field, you will have to work with the CCIs, mainly with the CCIs, and the main objective should be to standardize the approaches which are there as related to the children in need of care and protection. And when you see standardizing of approaches, it is a very straight line which one has to follow is in the processes is so there are activities under identification, there is an entire system of assessment, and there is entire skills involved in assessment. Then there is a mechanism of case planning. So like for example, a CCI never plans a case in advance. It's not always prepared that a particular child has come. It's only now that individual care plans have come up in the last few years, and even individual care plans have a lot of scope to work in CCI. I'm telling you, not in Udyan Care. Udyan Care individual care plans are much advanced, and care planning about every child is happening every time. Mentors are coming and everything. But other CCIs you will not find it. Service delivery of the whatever you have decided in plan. Then monitoring and closure of the children's cases. how it will
Excuse
be
me,
done.
somebody please let Utkarsha in.
I don't see. Right. So that is one. Then one of the scope for and the objective for case managers would be to increase the role of gatekeeping in entry and exit of children in childcare institutions. So you will have to start your work from the point of the entry and exit. You know, so you will have to very closely work with the child welfare committee, and you will have to take cases from them and go case by case and see whether the child who is going into a particular CCI is going for the valid reasons. One, secondly, if so maybe the valid reasons are there, but what is the timeline for which the child is going, and then from there you pick up the cases, right? Informed planning for each individual based on non-judgmental assessments, health, education, development. So you know this point is very important. Normally what happens is in a CCI that every child gets services under a straight jacket of the CCI's manual and the law. So in health, this is being done. In education, this is being done. In development, this is being done. Family tracing, this is being done. Self-image and other, mental health issues, this is being done. Dreams and aspirations of the child, this is being done. But when case management works, the case management always compare all these services with the outside world, right? So when you work, you see that the health of a particular child. So what is the height of the child, for example? What is the weight of the child, for example? And mind you, I'll tell you that I have been very, very sad many times, and this happened with me 20 years back when I took and I used to play, or we used to play in a particular CCI with children inside the CCI. We used to play football and cricket, and we were thinking that, oh, we play such good football, so let's go to a school and have a competition. So I took my team as a manager. I decided that I will take my team to a particular school and let's have a competition with them. So I took my team to St. Columbus School to play with those kids in their playground. You know how many goals my team got? 22 goals, 0-22. And I said, we have football, we have playground, we have same age of kids, we have same strength of kids, everything is same. They play so good. I have been a footballer in my life. I know how football is played. Still, they got 22 goals, and that I have not been able to understand till now why they lost. With not 5 goals or 4 goals or 3 goals is fine. I would have accepted. 22 goals. There was a boy called Sachin Masi. He was the goalkeeper, and he was just standing like a duck. Goals were right and left, right and left, right and left. He was not able to even stop one ball. Anyway, so when case manager works, you have to compare education with outside world, health with outside world, development outside world, family needs, how real families, how children are happy with the family and those situations are there inside the CCI or not. And what about the self-image of the children? What do children think about? What they tell anybody? So if a child meets anyone outside and suppose makes a friend and the friend asks, where do you live? So the child says the truth, or the child is not able to tell the truth. And the child says, oh, my father is a IAS officer and I have come from this family, but my father is abroad, so I'm alone. But in reality, the child maybe is staying in a CCI. And dreams and aspirations of the child. So children in CCI are close. There are research studies which say that family children are more expressive than children in the CCIs. So how to make them more expressive? So here we are not making any distinction between a child, whether the goal of the child is to place in a family, or whether even if the child is going to stay for long term in a CCI, one has to work on these aspects with absolute knowledge of outside world and a goal and an objective of taking the child on par with anybody in the world, on par with. So if the child has aspirations to play cricket in IPL or go to whatever, You know, so yeah, making holistic interventions we have already talked about by collaboration in multi-stakeholder. Hello. Hello.
आप continue करो जुनेद sir.
Yeah, okay. So case.
I think we are having some new members from our Ghar team. Ashik को आप जानते हो?
Ashik, yeah.
Ashik, yeah. I think Ashik has joined. That's why. आप continue रखिए.
Okay, fine. So now here is the ecosystem where a case management works, and we have tried, and different models are available. If you go to Google, you will find different type. We have put it like this. Last year when we were working for CRS, we developed this design that there are different levels at which a case manager has to work. So by this time in a training session, we should be able to look from outside. So the case manager has to look from outside. The case manager should not think that and you see that the case manager is working very much in institutional standardization also. It's most of your work will be impacted in a very different way, I'm telling you. Like when you place a child in a family care and the children who will be under your care in a CCI, you will always be happy with the CCI children. This also, I mean, I could imagine, I could through experience we could gauge. You know, the child placed in a family is always outside the purview and eyes of the case manager. Case manager does not know whether the child is playing on a berry tree, or the child is playing in the talab of the village, or the child is fighting with the boys, or maybe has got into some habit like smoking or something. In a CCI, the case manager comes there and every day interacts with children, every day is able to assess the impact, and is very happy that okay, yesterday I told this to the child and see how much change has come in the child. So those things are there, but a good case manager will have to bring out from this and look from this angle from which this design is being made. So has to see that okay, these are the systems which are available to me, and this is the work that, so on the left and on the right, this is at the individual level, family level, institution level. These are the things that I have to do. So this forms the basis of our everyday work, and which includes identifying the child's needs and things like that, identifying the family, quality intervention, participatory work, legal framework, interaction with the systems. On the other hand, is law and policies interface with child welfare committee and child protection community. So community and family, then continuum of services as to as we said, that extended network of resource organizations, and monitoring and follow-up practices and things like that. So when you develop your plan of action, then you must give equal weightage to all these things. You know, it should not be any one or two aspects. That's why you become a case manager rather than a institutional case worker. So a case worker in an institution has limited scope of work. A case manager has a wide scope. So you have so many things where you can do a little bit every day, right? So this is a design which will be there, and you can develop on this basis. We'll go ahead and see how each of these aspects come into play. Now the universe of the work for case managers is with the child, with the family, with the institution, with the child care and protection system, entire child protection system, and extended network of stakeholders like schools, health, counselors, sponsors, etc. And there are important tools now available in the law and in the practice regarding the tools that case managers can use and have to use and have to become adept in these tools. You have to master these tools. And earlier these tools was not there. These are new tools and which are coming into play now. Is identification. So identification is a tool that you use. Assessment, various type of assessments of child, family, and community. Care planning is now developing very fast. Delhi, it has been there for last 4-5 years. And when I joined with Care, I was surprised that care planning is so effective and so well monitored by DCPU that every month you have to send it online to them. Digital representation is one of the tools that you make to child welfare committee all the time, DGP all the time. And you see the beauty of this is that you are doing all this for a particular client. So you take up a particular client and you go to the CWC with a particular request and to the DGP particular. That scope is there in the law. Isn't it beautiful? That we can advocate directly to CWC. We don't need to go to High Court or any other place, but there are organizations which are available. Then the scope is, another tool is the case planning and intervention planning, which is different from care planning. And where you need to identify stakeholders, you need to identify strategies, you have to identify monitoring processes. And then there is, of course, follow-up and evaluation. One by one, we can take all these procedures very briefly. These are there in the SOPs and one can read the SOP, but very briefly how some differences or some very bold points that I have tried to make. I don't know how effective the slides are, but we need to work on the slides also. If somebody has something in mind, you can contribute. So when we talk about identification, this will include both. So, for example, for CCI, child has already been identified. The CCI does not need to go out and identify immediately, right? The child will either be already inside the CCI or will be about to enter the CCI. So this child sometimes you will get a phone call from CWC and CWC will request you that a particular child come, but the child has a relative somewhere in a distant place and we need to do SIR and find out whether this family is right for the child. So for 3 days, the child can stay with the shelter, then the child can be repatriated to the family and then we can follow all the process of a fit person. Now, those kind of cases will come to you, or the child is already living in CCI and you have identified the child for a potential for case management work with the child. And case manager may reach out to CWC, DCPU, CSCI, CBOs, cases, or may be approached by such authorities, as I said. Key action may be to ascertain. So what is the during the identification stage, and then there are documents like child study or individual care plan through which you can identify particular children. Certain very bold points are that whether the child has biological family or that is the first question that we need to ask whenever we take up any case or any institution or whenever CCI involves us, CWC involves us, whether the child has biological family or kin, and what is the location and linguistic linkage of the child, and whether the child has faced violence, abuse, exploitation, etc. These are three boldest or most priority points that a case manager would like to know at the instance of the identification itself. The child then, based on this and other aspects, the child may need immediate escort back to the family, or may need a short stay at the institution, or may need a slightly longer stay, may need a stay in an alternative family is located, or may continue to the stay at the institution with a special circumstance. So there are different scenarios which have been given here. So what will happen to that particular child who you have identified? Then after identification, then we have mentioned about primary assessment. So there are two types of assessments which come into play. Of course, this not on the first day you will decide that if you take up a child, a new child has come in as CCI, for example, and you have taken up the child's case, and suppose on the first day you will not jump on the conclusion that I need to put the child back in the alternative family. Let us provide foster care. No, that it will not happen like this. So you will have to break down your assessment. The first part will be the primary assessment. Then what are the child's present status? What are the concerns? What are the needs? Don't rush for putting the child into alternative family or putting the child into group foster care. What are the immediate needs of the child? That has to be found out. information can be gathered of all this. The information will come to you through child interaction. That is the best thing to do. Talk to the child, and the child will tell you everything. Then there are documents with the CCI. In the case file, it has been transferred from another CCI, which has details about the child. There is child report, there is ICP report, there is SIR. Then there are caregivers, immediate persons in touch with the child who can give you a lot of information. Another aspect which a case manager will have to assess the gravity of the case and related subject. Okay, so gravity of the case means, for example, if the child has biological family, but the biological family has abandoned the child, right? Or the biological family make the child go missing deliberately, right? Which is a crime. Or the child carries experiences of abuse and trauma from the past. These are the so the case manager will be able to identify whether this is a very serious case or this is a not so serious case. So then the case manager will meet a child who will not be so sad, or who will be happy, will not be under trauma after all the assessments, and then they say, I'm good. So that will not be a grave case, and that will not be a priority case for case manager for family linkage. Build a ground for secondary assessment. Now, so secondary assessments will follow from primary, and proper directions for CSR and ICP will also be gathered from your primary assessments. And in many cases, you will have to work on the SIR and ICP. As in our case, when we went to Odisha and we worked with SIR and ICP files, me and my colleague, Mr. Shafi, who was there we had to work for so many hours to just understand what is written in SIR. Okay, the father's name is written in the same, mother's name is written the same, grandfather's name. That, I mean, we fail to understand. Only the surnames were written for everybody. So in the SIR, so in accordance with the intervention that will be undertaken, these documents you will have to refer to. Very often you will have to work on these documents, and you will have to help not only the CCI but also the CWC in upgrading the SIRs in ICP. And then another form of assessment, another important point for assessment is assessing the risks, threats, and vulnerabilities which that will be very important for the case manager to keep in mind before going into the secondary assessment, because secondary assessments will be decision assessment. In a case of a child, a concerned stakeholder can be involved, such as doctor, psychiatrist, teacher, caregiver. Sometimes you will have to involve these people to help you in assessment. Okay, because last time we discussed that one of the principles of case management is that we don't take any decisions on our own. We are participatory in our approach. It's not that only my judgment is important. So I have assessed the child, sir. I know what is the child. I know where the child is coming from. I know what he thinks. You don't know the child. He has all hidden, things. He will tell you tomorrow if you send the child to that place or this place. These statements we have been hearing for our entire lives now. That when we are representing a child, we know what we want to do. So it is always better to have multiple people to discuss about the child. Don't make your own decisions. If I am seeing some child, has some hidden thing, or maybe I paint him in the dark, that child, some other person talking him to say to the child will come and tell me that no, your judgments were not right. You were not able to see many other things that the child carries. It's not after all so dark. He's a very bright child. Somebody else will then I will be able to see that, okay, I failed to see this side of the child, and I will feel sad about it. So this capability is very important in the case management. Very, very important. Which is most often missing when you are caregiving, I would say. Caregivers are not poor thing. They are not that much capable of reaching that level of non-judgmentalism. Is if there are 6 children, they will like 3, they will not like 3. So they don't like 3. Those 3 will always, trouble them. They will always make them angry. They will always do something nonsense. They will always be a cause of concern, right? So this is how primary assessment, and then we go to secondary assessment, which aims at meeting the long-term goals of the child. So secondary assessment should always made and from the point of view of a long-term goal. It should not be short-term and hazy or speedily taken decisions or things like that, because on this assessment will depend a lot of things. Even the individual care plans of the child, if exist, will be revived based on your secondary assessments. The way SIRs were done will be revisited. SIRs will be revisited. Family assessments will be revisited. Parents will again be called. So, and for example, family placement of the child or other long-term alternative care arrangements cannot be decided in a wing. That okay, place him. No, it should not be like that. And secondary assessment has to be done in a detailed manner. And this should also secondary assessment should also tell the case manager the preparedness of the child, vulnerabilities of the child for the second level of change which is coming in his care options, right? So child is not always aware about these things. Child does not know that. So sometimes we think that, okay, so the case manager will have to talk to the child that, okay, son, here we are planning for you a foster care option, adoption option. You know what is foster care? So the case manager will have to start in a very subtle way, right? We'll have to explain what is foster care. The child will ask, I don't know, and I'm very, very afraid. I don't want to go from here. But next time again he will come, Bhaiya, you were telling, Didi, you were telling about foster care. Kya hota hai foster care? Batao zara. Now you tell him that what is. अच्छा तो क्या मैं भी किसी फैमिली में या मैं भी अडॉप्ट हो सकता हूँ या मैं भी एंड उदिन केयर में केस हुआ जहाँ पे बच्चों को अडॉप्शन के लिए प्रिपेयर किया CWC ने स्पेशल केस लिया आई एम फॉरगेटिंग द नेम ऑफ द चिल्ड्रन बट यस पूरा प्रोसेस हुआ सो दैट इज द वे ऑफ डूइंग इट यू वर्क विद द चाइल्ड you understand what is there in the child of the in the heart of the child, then you decide the child loves this place or would like to experiment with this thing, would like to experiment with this care option, right? Then the child's personal, behavioral, developmental, operational, aspirational and other such needs for a change in care options will also come into play. So the child will ask you that, भैया मेरा दिल करता है कि मैं गाड़ी में बैठूं, घूमूं, कार में मुझे कोई घुमाए, मेरे को क्या जिस फैमिली की आप बात कर रहे हो उनके पास कार है? तो यस, हाँ उनके पास कार है. तो बच्चे के एस्पिरेशंस हैं that he wants to roam around in a car and he wants to, क्या अच्छा उनके पास में अच्छा बड़ा सा लॉन है जहाँ पे मैं टेनिस खेल सकूं, मुझे खेलने का, मैं खेलना चाहता हूँ मैं भी इस तरह से, right? Behavioral है. Then the child will tell, sometimes the child will tell you the case manager that but भैया आपको तो पता है मेरी गंदी आदत है, मैं हमेशा जो है ना झूठ बोल देता हूँ या मैं सच बहुत बोलता हूँ, उनको बुरा तो नहीं लगेगा, मैं बोल दूंगा, मैं तो देखो यहाँ भी लड़ता रहता हूँ, सच बोलता हूँ मैं, राइट? सो एक उसका बिहेवियरल एस्पेक्ट है which you have to assess. Then there are so many personal things which the child would be very afraid about or would be very, very serious about and would not be. So through psychology, through psychometric testing, all those things will be there. And so child protection again and caregiver interaction, child interaction, exposures and guidance to the child. So exposures are very important, right? Exposures. Child has never seen a house. Child has never seen a family. Child has never been to the, in their care, children go to the houses of the mentors, it's a very big exposure that they get. They and I've seen children who come uninformed also. They'll just call, "मैं आ रही हूँ" या "मैं आ रहा हूँ," and they will go to the mentor's house. And that is what is missing in the lives of CCI. I would say in 99% of the country, 99.99% of the country, is who will take a CCI's child to his family and make him sit in his drawing room and serve him juice, orange juice. It is maximum people think is that take sweets and toys and go to the CCI and distribute among children, and then feel very happy that okay, children sang this song and that song and things like that. So exposure is very important. When children are, I am very sure that if all children in CCI today are exposed to good families, middle class families, they would, half of them would immediately decide that they don't want to stay back. I mean, I don't want, just that kind of, that I'm not a deinstitutionalization person, but none of us, we believe in slowly more role for the family, and also if family is not possible, small group care in a family like environment is there. But yes, children need to be exposed to family, and wherever you are working as a case manager, try your best to not only just bring outside volunteers and mentors into the CCIs, but also convince them that sometimes if they can visit their home, or they can visit a good school, or they can visit a good sports facility and things like that. And this is how a case manager has to prepare the client for himself, for his future work. Both the primary and secondary assessments are good, are a good opportunity to repair the individual care plan documents as per the need and directions of the case, right? So what is happening as of now is individual care plans are being made as a compulsion, as a liability. So some people are filling the ICP, and all ICPs are same. So in a particular CCI, if there are 50 children, you will see same things in all the CCI. All the children want to become either teacher or a doctor or something, or they want to do some skill development. All the skill, and if the CCI has only 2 skill development programs, only those 2 will be mentioned in the ICP. The child is replying, I want to learn electrical and I want to stand on my feet. That is the word used in all the ICPs, and Ranjana will watch for it. She must have seen so many ICPs coming from so many institutions, and only those skills are mentioned which are available inside the CCI, right? So but after secondary assessment, you will see that the ICPs are undergoing sea change. ICPs and all the other like documents which are there with they will undergo a sea, and they will become very realistic. They will follow the direction where the case is going. So if the child has to be prepared to stay for a longer term in the CCI and yet not fall in the trap of the negativities which are there. Suppose this caregiver is not happy with the child and always scolds the child, right? This is demoralizing the child. And is the child prepared to face this for next 10 years or 15 years, right? Or not. So all those factors, maybe behavioral factors, so many factors will come into play in ICP. And this is expected during the secondary assessment. Then after that, and this is very easy, and we don't need much discussion on the assessment of the family, of course. The case manager manager's work is overall. It's not just inside the walls of the CCI. So the case manager will have to reach out to the family. Sometimes the family will come in the CCI. Sometimes, in the CCI. Sometimes the family will come in the CWC. Sometimes the CWC will ask the case manager to go and meet the family. Sometimes you will be talking on the phone to the family. Sometimes you will be trying to find out somebody who knows that family in the neighborhood, who can go and find out the things and let you know, some NGO, some volunteer, somebody, right? And it will happen in both the cases. In the case of a biological family which has been traced, or a potential alternative family which has been identified. And the important tools for this will be, and this when we say family, I would have also added one slash that we also mean group foster care, and we also mean group homes. Important tool will be so you can take help from social investigation report, which is very extensive, and home visit report, which is particularly designed for alternative family assessment. Some things are missing in both the documents, which we have added in our SOPs, which then Karen CSR has, Catholic Relief Services has made. And when so certain very broad point is that when families are being assessed, then it's not just the immediate family which is assessed, it's also the number of other family members. What is the number of the family members? What is the number of the extended family members? Who are the extended family members? What is their occupation? Whether there are some risk from their outside or neighborhood or not, and what are the extended relations of the and whatever is possible to the maximum extent to satisfy the management goal. The case manager will do extensive, as much possible as extensive assessment of the family, and try to study the background of the things which have happened. So if the child has been separated, and the case manager would like to know what were the reasons that the child got separated, and what was the crisis, what was the conflict, what was it which made the child go away from the family in the first place, and whether those situations are still there or not. Has the family overcome those problems or not? Suppose there was alcoholism in the family, so whether the person who was an alcoholic is still there with the family, or the person has left, or whether the person has improved or is still in the same habits, and how this can harm the child. Family's readiness and capabilities and safety audits will be done. Risk assessments will be done along with the readiness and capability. So family will say that we are ready for the child. We are ready for the child. You will say you are ready for the child, but let us do a risk assessment. I am not convinced that the child should stay here with you. This decision, first of all, a case manager will have to make there and then. Otherwise, CWC will make this decision. And if CWC is somehow misled in this decision, and tomorrow some drawbacks are there in the case manager's assessments, then CWC will make the case manager responsible for a poor assessment, right? So, so here, and the best way to do is to start from the strengths and weaknesses of the family. So one has to be focused and match these with the needs of the child. So maybe there are 100 things about the family which I need not go into all the details. But let us see that, okay, maybe, this family is like this, but, the child's need is this. So the child will become a very good artist. For example, suppose this family is a very good, so the person who wants to maybe provide alternative care to the child is a very good singer. In context, this is more relevant in the context of the alternative families. So is a very good singer, but this person is also a little bit cranky, so you will see that this person is cranking. Sometimes he will slap the child, and then the problem will be with us. So, but you will say, okay, he's a little cranky, we will give him a training course on parenting, maybe before placing the child. This is the prescription that I am. But the child will become a very good singer here with this person, and the child is also a good singer. He is good in singing, and he wants to become a singer. So this match has been attained, right, through the strength of the family. And there was a weakness which we know we can address. So some weakness which we will not be able to address, of course, we will not, then we will have to sacrifice the strength, right? And also see whether resources are available around the family. So what are the resources? If resources are not available, of course, resources can be asked for. So one can ask, suppose there is a block area, and in the district area, certain group is available who can come every week to teach the child. So they can come and they can be involved. Assessment of the community, and then we go to the come down to the assessment of the community, which is part of the family assessment. ascertaining first of all the risk factors and strengths that the community may offer, the community's traditions, dogmas, traditions, beliefs sometimes are also not in sync. So suppose an entire village where the child belonged and the child was sent to stay in the, and this you will find near many areas in Madhya Pradesh, in the tribal areas in Madhya Pradesh. The Madhya Pradesh team will find more as compared to the Bihar team, is that you will see many children who have been sent to the pastors organizations. You know, they have orphanage, they have CCIs, and they will, and you will find children from there as far as Sholapur in Madhya Pradesh, in Maharashtra. They will say, okay, somebody comes from Maharashtra and we send, and you will see that the entire community follows a particular tradition and the same kind of belief. And no matter how much you work with them, they will not agree to the facts that there is any negativity attached to the care of the child in that, and the child will never come back to the village. In some cases, the village will tell you that oh, we don't want the child back in our community. He has gone for life. You know, he will become some spiritual leader. You know, so we have sent our kid to become spiritual leader. We don't want him back in the village. Okay. Also, he's not going to have a family life because he has taken a vow. So you don't worry about the future of my son, my kid. That is the fact that will be there in many of the villages in Madhya Pradesh. In places like Odisha, we have seen intervention planning is another step. Is so all the things are there that it has to be focused based on child's best interest, prepared in consultation with the important relevant stakeholders. Then it should highlight the goals, time-bound actions, and role of each stakeholder. Time-bound actions is important. That it is very important. Our so case manager has to work, has to use the time efficiently. So that's why it is known as management, right? So now we have come down here. Why we call it case management? Why not case work and any other thing? When you say management, you have to be efficient. Being efficient means, like, when you work in a management mode, then you look at the resources. So resources should be used at the most optimum. Then you say the production has to be optimum. Like, you should not do something too much, then it is on your head, it is not getting used. Something too less, so when the time came, you did not have that. So it has to be very efficient, and the term we use for it is time-bound actions. So you plan your actions in a way that everything, so it should not be very quick, that you go to the child and say, okay, tomorrow I will start your process of foster care. No. So you take your time. It has to be efficient. What is that efficient time? When the child will be ready, when the family will be ready, when you will be ready, when you will have all the systems in place, when your stakeholders will be ready, when your CWC will be ready, everything will be in place, and that has to be followed. And it should not happen that very, very long time passes and I'm not doing anything on that particular action. That is also defeatist, like self-defeatist. Like, the child becomes 18-year-old and then I'm saying, oh, काश मैंने तुम्हें 12 साल की उम्र में तुम्हारे बायोलॉजिकल फैमिली में प्लेस किया होता, तो आज तुम डर नहीं रहे होते अपने गांव में. राइट, आज 18 साल के हो गए, मैं तो तब से प्लान कर रहा हूँ, तुम्हारी फाइल तो मेरे पास अभी भी पड़ी हुई है. It has to be always time bound and relevant and realistic, and not very extravagant in its approach, exaggerated is the term. Like, we should be very realistic, and we all understand, and relevant. We should not dream for any child always very big. Okay, always very big. And we should not give a rosy picture to the child all the time. It's the realistic picture that the child has to look. For example, if the child is joining biological family or alternative family, or planning for a long-term stay in the CCI. In all the three scenarios, the thing is the child will have to be very responsible to certain things. It's so if the child is going to the family, sometimes the tap will go, sometimes the electricity will go, sometimes father will ask the child to come and take care of the goat, sometimes ask the child to go and buy something from the market, repair something. Very good book is there, Long Way Home. There is a book called Long Way Home, which is exactly on this topic. And this child who and incidentally my son read that book and created a narration of that book, and this is how I came to know about this book. And I was surprised that without my knowing, he selected this book from his school library and he is reading it. So this orphan child has a habit of running away from a foster home and going back to the family. Why? Because he does not want to take care of any responsibility. He thinks that if father says that go and take care of the of some certain work in the house, then he feels offended. Why this protection, child protection has not placed me for this in your house? He tells like this to the father. But one day when there is a flood in the village and all the animals are dying and drowning, this child suddenly gets this urge of jumping in the water and saving some cattle from dying. He brings the cattle on the shore, and that day he realizes that this is how a family life is, that you not only for the human beings in the family, also he felt this for the animals, and he realized his responsibility in the society, and he became a very responsible child after that. And so anyway, so this is where what being realistic is. This is what, so extravagant would be like if I tell a child, okay, Lieutenant General is adopting you, or he is taking you in foster care, and there will be servants around you, there will be a boatman, there will be a military car for you and things like that. No, that's not going to happen with the child. It's not going to happen in his life. Includes, so, and also having an alternative plan is very important with the intervention plan. The interventions will differ slightly in case of family-based care or reintegration of the child. So there's a mistake here. It's not family-based care. It's actually the objective will be institutional care, continued. So if the child is going to continually stay in the institution, if that is the decision, or child is getting reintegrated with the family. So in both the cases, institution plan will slightly differ, but basics will remain the same. The case management will continue to work with both the type of children, either in the family or in an institution. Work will go on, right? So if the objective will be to place a child in an institutional alternative care setting, or if the child is placed in a family-based care. Note is that case manager's intervention register will be different from the individual care plan. So this is also, we have to not confuse our intervention planning of the case manager with the individual care plan of the child. These are two different things, because case management intervention is not there in JJ Act. That's why we don't have those kind of documents. But if one has to refer to the intervention registers of the case managers, one can go to those kinds of organizations and see how they do the documentation. Basically, case manager intervention document or a register is a real-time register, where if not every day, at every instance, the learnings are to be recorded, the plans are to be changed, redesigned, revisited. So it's very different from an individual care plan, where the goal is to set the plan. The goal is to, individual care plan is to set the plan. This is what the outcome, and then this is on this basis you will be telling the CWC, and of course you cannot change every day. That you cannot go to CWC and say that yesterday the child wanted to become a doctor, today the child want to become an engineer, so I have changed the ICP. So CWC will say, first you decide what the child want to become, then you prepare your ICP and come. But the intervention plan is an ever-changing plan. Nobody is going to ask you that why you have not fixed it, right? It will never be fixed, because maybe at the last moment the child will decide he does not want to go in a family care, or he does not want to continue to stay in a group foster care, or whether he does not want to become this. His aspirations was this, I was lying. He will say, I was lying. My aspiration was not to become a dancer. I never wanted to become a dancer. But I wanted to become something else, which I have not told you. Right? So so intervention plan is always an ever-changing plan. So with this, we come down to the how
So,
plans are.
may I please say something before we go ahead? So, when you were speaking about, you know, being realistic with the child, so is it also in among the duties of the the case manager to also be realistic to the family? I mean, because you know, I came across cases where people when they first met the child at a CCI, they were very impressed with the child, and then they take her with them, you know, and they were very positive in their approach, but then they start you know, they start comparing her with their MBA graduate, their son who is an MBA graduate from IIM Calcutta, and obviously such a comparison is not going to be favorable at all. And sooner rather than later, they start getting irritated with the child, and they say that, you know, in your file there you said that, you know, one of your strong points is English, but they did not keep it in the context of the child, that, you know, for her, like, good English is being able to make a few sentences, which is like very good for her. So like proper, I think counseling, like realistic counseling of what you know should realistically expect from the child you're getting is also important. I mean, otherwise it's just like a customized process which cannot work in this. So
that is the condition of counseling, actually. So counseling and case management, so these are all very integrated approaches, and so we have learned on the job from various places and from various experts. So counseling follows these things, but counseling is limited in its approach in the way that it does not take physical intervention programs, right? So here case manager will have to physically also take interventions. Sometimes the case manager will have to go and drop the child to family. Sometimes the case manager will have to ask for somebody to arrange for the travel of the parents. So parents are coming from Assam and there is no ticket, and case manager will have to arrange all that. And yes, you are absolutely right that family also need to be told the truth that, okay, while the child was away from the family, you know, the child has been into this habit. So is your child, and so family will say, okay, when he left, he was so innocent, and now he's, but let us think about it, or let them decide on whether. So so case managers never force any decision on anybody, not on families. And there is a detailed procedure which is there in the SOP, where you can find all the other interesting things also. And while implementing the reintegration plan, implementation is implementation, and not much can be written about implementation. Implementation is instant. Like today you decided you will implement the plan tomorrow, but implementation is when you are making the plan. Also, that time some implementation is happening of the plan. You are talking to the child. This is all part of the so reintegration process. Reintegration is a process, right? It's not a one-time event that will be implemented on particular day, right? It's a process that has to be. That said, still there are certain things which a case manager should keep in mind. Is that pre-implementation training is very important of all the stakeholders. So you need to take all the stakeholders into confidence and discuss with them whether they're clear about their roles, when they will be needed, where they will be needed. So suppose a particular stakeholder has to be ready in Nagpur station, and with this kind of service that the child will need there. So that the stakeholder has to be absolutely ready for that. and should be available with the service. If the stakeholder is finding difficulty, should inform well in time. So all those things, then the set time frames, as we discussed before, is very important to keep them very accurate. The smoothness of intervention plan. One more aspect is there, that suppose as a case manager, I have started some case and tomorrow I left the case and I joined something else, and some new person has joined. So what will you tell the child in the family? Okay, so child will ask, भैया कब मेरा placement होगा, कब मैं घर जाऊंगा, अपने घर या फर्स्ट केयर में या दूसरे सीसीआई में. तो आप बोलेंगे मेरे को तो नहीं पता, वो तो भैया छोड़ गए जॉब, अब मैं देखूंगा तुम्हारी फाइल, अब पढ़ूंगा तुम्हारी फाइल, फिर तुम्हें बताऊंगा, तुम परसों आना. There's hundreds of children every day walking into the office of the caseworker in CCI and asking this. Hundreds, just in Delhi. And again, Rachna will watch that. How many children in CCI every day?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
भैया मैं घर कब जाऊंगा. And you know, this and वो बहुत easy है कि वो पिछला स्टाफ कर रहा था सर, जब साइनर CWC बुलाएगा तो कहेंगे कि मैं तो नया आया हूँ, मेरे को तो पता नहीं है. So smoothness of the intervention plan cannot be compromised. So the case manager's responsibility to hand over all the documents and put the person immediately on the task on the next day, whoever is joining in his place. So
Junaid sir, sorry to interfere. Can you check the participant section? I think someone is in the waiting list.
Okay.
Can you check in the participant section?
I think Argha is waiting there for long.
Find out participants.
I posted on chat for her to be added.
Where will I get it?
To participants.
Okay. When I click on the participants,
Junaid, if it's easier for you, make me the host. I'll do it.
You tell me how. I was able to attach, connect others, accept others, but this one I did not.
No, but it is his PPT, no, Lina.
No, PPT he can keep sharing. PPT.
The last slide is there, then I will do that.
Yeah. Now, no point in Argha joining so late.
Yeah, no, I think we'll continue on the same link for the next session, which is Ranjana. We'll take a break, I think. Ranjana का 4 बजे से start होगा ना, तो हम ये same link use कर सकते हैं.
Okay. Right. So if I get another time, I will connect her because it has somehow not appeared. The others were appearing, but this one did not come somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe her link is again lost. Yeah. So now, so in all this, now the thing is that monitoring is a new word in child care and protection, and one has to relate with the work of the CCI historically. So what was happening in the past was that if a child comes in a CCI, then if some outside agency tells that I will monitor the child, right? This was thought to be very rude by the government. And so the government never created any monitoring systems on CCIs, never. And CCIs or orphanages and places where children lived, they were not, so monitoring was supposed to be very harsh word, right? When I start a place where orphan children will stay, I go to the juvenile justice system and I take the child and put the child in the system. So monitoring started way back in 2001 in a very rude manner, very harsh manner by earlier juvenile welfare boards, and they ordered CCIs to give the list of the children. After that, it became part of the CWC's statutory responsibilities. And after that also sometimes CWCs felt that by monitoring they will be hurting the CCIs. And then it was only after cases which happened in CCIs that now monitoring is not supposed to be that harsh word to say, and now it is being overdone. Now in monitoring we experienced in those years that how it was being done, that we were awake whole night, that what is happening in our own homes, that they are just barging in. They're just barging in, they're just going through all the documents and everything, and so they are clueless about monitoring. How CCIs have to be monitored still, I mean, and then saying put a camera here, put a camera there, and this, and you have not changed this, why? And suddenly in the middle of the night a committee will just walk in and they will barge and they will raid and the words were used like raiding the CCIs and things like that. But in case management, what we have thought about, and not only thought, we have read and done a lot of research how it is being done, is that first of all your activities have, and your goals, objectives, everything has to be on the timeline and in the plan. And if there is any deviation in your activity, then that deviation has to be marked, right? Suppose your plan was that by this particular date you were supposed to achieve this, so you were supposed to complete your counseling sessions with the child, and you have not been able to complete the counseling sessions, then the senior management will ask you that, okay, so there is a deviation in your plan. How will you be able to complete counseling in time? And how the child will go home? The child will not go home for the next year, right? So that has to be done on a matrix. Then and the targets have to be achievable and quantified, and which can be measured at regular intervals. So for example, you were supposed to, your major area of work was suppose Sitamarhi in Bihar, and there were certain number of children from that district who were supposed to be placed. So how many people you will need there, right? So how many volunteers on the ground? So by this date you will identify 6 people who will help you on the ground in Sitamarhi. So 6 is your target, right? And you fail to achieve that, somebody will ask you, it will mark as deviation in your plan. So the targets who can be quantified and which are achievable also. Plan has to be evaluated on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis as per set outcomes. So it is once you have developed a quantifiable target sheet, it is always very easy to evaluate the target sheet on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. And on that basis, so this is the case management's own plans which have to be first monitored. And within the plans there will be success indicators. Okay, for example, the child was happy when I spoke to him, the child was sad when I spoke, so my goal is to make the child happy about this decision, and let me see whether he is really unhappy or whether he is afraid of thinking about it. So this has to be found out, and this can be quantified by time. So one day you will walk down in the office of the senior manager and say that, sir, today the child is very happy, he met the father, he said that, okay, I will go back home now, I will be there. And or if he has achieved something, so he wanted to score 60% marks in his exams, he has scored 62%, he is very happy. You know, all those indicators will be there, and there are hundreds of indicators which will be there, as many as a manager wants to put, or as less as the manager wants to put. Sometimes managers take only broad section. They will say, okay, nothing doing, I don't want to monitor anything, just tell me how many days the child went to school when I placed him, just tell me that. So if the report comes that 60 out of 60 days child attended 32 days, he's happy, he said yes, success has been achieved. 30 days in a school means he 100%. So so that is where success indicators will have to work out and will be put within the monitoring plan, right? So, and children's achievements, you know, and will also be part of it, and these can be consulted at a given intervals and shared with CWC, and of course they will be shared with the authorities. The stakeholder contributions are weighted in the activities and objectives in the plan, and part of the quarterly, midterm, and annual review of the stakeholder contributions. So stakeholder contributions to bring in the monitoring plan is also very important, and to encourage the stakeholders, also to keep them involved, to, you know, keep their interest sometimes. So and some reports can also be sent to the stakeholders that, sir, you helped us in Nagpur for this, and you know the result of your support, the child has now got 60% marks in 10th exam. So the stakeholder will also be happy and will feel good about it and will be ready to help other children. So it's just that. And then the laws for case closure. The laws for case closure are very clean, simple, and straightforward. That all important files, documents, undertakings are in place as per the law. Child and family, have been informed, consulted, and prepared beforehand. All stakeholders are consulted and in agreement. All formal agencies like Child Welfare Committee, etc., have issued proper sanctions. A post-closure support platform is available. So closure के बाद एक चीज जरूरी है कि कुछ एक हेल्पलाइन नंबर हो या कोई ईमेल हो. Suppose something happens to the child or something good happens to the child and somebody wants to reach out to the case manager, wants to inform the case manager and the institution or the CWC, then always this number has to be alive. It should not go dead for at least 3 to 4 years after placements, or after the reintegration file has been closed, or after the the case has been closed. In case of any deviation at the child and family level, there should be some person or some entity who can be reached in time, reached out timely. So many a times you will so this is more relevant when the child is placed out of the institutional care or out of the institutional support, right, in an alternative family or in a biological family. So the case manager also has, and this is done, sometimes it is done discreetly also, like when the case management, it has a very an iota of risk, like in the community. This may be at a distance, there is some factory where the child may be placed or something like that. So some source is created over there who can inform the case management if something happens there, right? So with this, I think I have come down to the closure, case closure of the session. Yeah, this is the final slide. Yeah, so this is done. Any queries? Anything we can take very quickly.
I would just say that I found it very, very interesting and very systematically, you've taken us through, and, some of our people who are here, I mean, people like Neeraj and Leena, they might be very, very exposed, but some new people are here. They must have found this exposure very, very good, because now that they are going to the CCIs and they have to become like a case manager, they are not the case managers, but they have to take help of the social workers there and help manage each child's individual care plan. This kind of a training is really going to be of great help. I'm really grateful to you. You've given us so much of your time, so patiently and so nicely. You explained each and every slide. And I'm so glad that we've recorded it. Argha, who could not attend, she can attend. And Ashik is here from the Ghar team, if Ashik wants, because Ashik also came quite late. If he wants, it can be shared with the Ghar team. So everybody can benefit from this. Thank you so much.
I must thank you, ma'am, for being there throughout the session, ma'am. It's a big thing for me.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
No, for me also, it's such a good refresher,
All the old things are there, ma'am, of those things. Those are the experiences, actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I could relate so many places where we are going wrong, what we are not doing, more than what we are doing, because I always am interested in improving things rather than sit back on our haunches. Oh, we are so great, we are doing so well.
Lot of work. These are all continuous processes, man.
So I would like any of the team members to say something, and then we can close this session. Sure. And of course, Leena will do a vote of thanks.
Yeah, so if there are questions, observation, comment, please go ahead. We have another session starting at 4 o'clock, and I think we all must take a break of half an hour. Yeah. Hamara jo next session hai Ranjana ke saath, we'll have it on Google Meet.
Okay, not here.
No, not here. So this one will end with Junaid. but any questions, team? Ashik, कुछ कहना है?
Ma'am, I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank Junaid sir.
Yes.
To making it clearly, like मैंने मतलब जब से काम किया है, मैं मतलब काम ही कर रहा हूँ, मतलब इतनी अच्छी तरह से, मतलब स्टेप बाय स्टेप क्या होता है मैंने नीरज सर से भी सीखा है, सुना है, तो उसी तरह से काम कर रहा था। अभी थोड़ा मतलब क्लियरिटी आ गया है माइंड पे कि कैसे होता है, क्या नहीं, क्या ध्यान पे रखना है, क्या मन में रखना चाहिए। तो थैंक यू जुनेद सर।
Very good, Tridev, very
Actually,
good.
ये जो केस मैनेजमेंट अप्रोच है हमारा एओपी प्रोजेक्ट में भी बहुत काम आएगा।
Yeah.
बिल्कुल। Anyone else?
So one more thing. Hello.
Yeah, Kanika.
So one more thing that as a trainer I feel कि जिस टाइप से आपने present किया and जितने depth में आपने सारा information, that is like very nice, because you could have done this कि आप topics पे ऊपर करते चले जाते, but आपने हमको समझाने के लिए इतना time लगाया. Thank you so much, sir.
I know you really gone all the way.
Yes.
2 hours की जगह 3 hours लगा दिए हैं.
जुनेद का एक अच्छा जो मुझे बहुत पसंद है जुनेद का स्टाइल, वो है ना, he has so much of knowledge and he applies them practically. वो अपने experiences भी शेयर करते हैं, examples भी देते हैं, historical perspective भी लेके आते हैं.
That was very interesting in the beginning one.
बहुत enriching हो जाता है.
In fact, अभी हम लोगों ने एक आफ्टर केयर का history लिखा है जुनैद, उसमें अनीशा, मैं और लीना, हम तीनों ने काफी उसमें मेहनत की. I wish, you know, before we submitted we could have shown you, maybe, you know, some historical part you could have added, है ना लीना?
Yeah, मैम आफ्टर केयर में ज्यादा बात नहीं हो पाई पहले, but लीना knows that मेरा आफ्टर केयर का बहुत सारा रहा है इंटरेक्शन, लाइक डॉन बॉस्को में बहुत बच्चों के साथ में हम लोग प्लेस करते थे.
We are going to impinge upon your, you know, services every now and then, your knowledge.
Yeah. Most of the work is on these things, so aftercare I have not been able to do much. But if you have anything in mind, you can send me.
Yeah, I will. I have certain things in mind. Let me discuss with Leena and then I'll come back to you. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
मैम पहले तो जुनैद जी को बहुत बहुत थैंक्स, उन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छे से किया, मैं रिपीट नहीं करूँगा. मेरा ये बात उन लोगों के लिए जितने हमारे नए मेंबर्स हैं, जितने लोग नए लोग हैं, वो इस पूरे प्रेजेंटेशन को पढ़ें बार बार, और जुनैद सर का जो भी बात है उसको कोरिलेट करें और अपने फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस लें, वहाँ से कोरिलेट करें, वहाँ पे कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं, तभी ये पूरा सेशन का सक्सेस तभी हो पाएगा. सो ये मेरा खास करके जो अभी एमपी का टीम है हमारा, इवन बिहार में भी, तो इन चीजों को बहुत अच्छे से अगर करेंगे तो एक मॉडल ही हो जाएगा वहाँ पे.
Really, that is what they have invited us for. अगर हम वो नहीं बना पाएंगे demonstrable model.
Very important point, ma'am, because what happened is that since I have been working in the sector for a long time, वो experiences, और फिर उसको बाहर से देखा, फिर उसके बाद when we got this project with CRS, और हमने इसको focused हम लोगों ने research material बनाए, तो ये काफी चीजें हमारे पास हैं, but what is missing in all the documents that we have done, SOPs हम बहुत effective करेंगे if we add practical experiences.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what we told them, but वही बीच में उन लोगों ने छोड़ दिया उस प्रोजेक्ट को. लीना, एक बार बढ़ाना तो चाहिए, CRS से बात तो करनी चाहिए. आशिक, आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
नहीं मैम,
मैं कह रही थी.
Yes मैम, I'm here.
या ओके. उत्कर्षा कह रही हैं, बोलिए.
हाँ जी, मैं तो बस जुनैद सर को थैंक यू बोलना चाहती हूँ एमपी टीम की तरफ से, बिकॉज हम लोगों ने अभी नया सब काम शुरू किया है, CCIs में विजिट की है, तो इतना इम्पोर्टेंस समझ में आ रहा है इन सारी चीजों का. और अब सबसे अच्छी बात है कि हम हर चीज को रिलेट कर पा रहे थे जो सर कह रहे थे. और अच्छी बात यह है कि बिकॉज वी आर फ्रेशर्स इस CCI में, तो वो हर चीज को ना एक समझने के लिए डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव मिल जाता है. तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर यू टू कि आपने इसको ऑर्गेनाइज किया आपने, लीना मैम ने, उद्यम के टीम ने, और जुनैद सर ने इतना अच्छा सेशन लिया, तो लिटरली थैंक यू सो वेरी मच.
वेरी गुड. सो नाउ आई थिंक लीना, द लास्ट वर्ड.
या अगर और आशिक आपको कुछ कहना है? नहीं. Okay, so
यस
I
मैम
think
बेसिकली
बोलिए
जब
आशीष.
जुनैद सर पहला प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे थे केस मैनेजमेंट का, जब पहला इन्होंने ड्राफ्ट तैयार किया था, तो उस समय हम लोग पहले ही ड्राफ्ट में थे जब जुनैद सर शेयर कर रहे थे अपना एक्सपीरियंस केस मैनेजमेंट पे, तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रोडक्टिव था। और एक तरह से अभी अटेंड करा, थोड़ा सा मैं लेट हुआ हूँ बट क्योंकि मेल थोड़ा लेट मिला, और मैं उसी ट्रेल मेल पे गूगल मीट का लिंक था, तो मैं उस पर बार बार ज्वाइन कर रहा था 12 बजे से, तो वो इशू आ गया। फिर मैं नीचे देखा तो जूम लिंक भी है और वो चेंज शेड्यूल था, वो थोड़ा सा एक इशू आ गया। बट एक तरह से ये एक अच्छा रिवीजन था मेरे लिए कि थोड़ा सा बहुत ज़्यादा इश्यूज आती है हम लोग को अपने प्रैक्टिस में कि केस मैनेजमेंट और केस वर्क में कितना क्या डिफरेंसेस है, और हम किस तरह से उसको अपने प्रैक्टिस में इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं या उसको अपना नया एक पर्सपेक्टिव देते हैं। बेसिकली इनिशियली मेरा इंप्रेशन था कि हम लोग जो भी काम करते हुए केस वर्क रोल मॉडल पे है, बट उन्होंने जुनैद सर ने एक नया पर्सपेक्टिव दिया और हमारे उद्यन केयर मॉडल को एक तरह से केस मैनेजमेंट में फिट इन किया, तो एक अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस भी है और उस चीज़ों को सर प्रेजेंट भी कर रहे हैं अपने मॉडल में, तो वो एक प्रोडक्टिव है हमारे लिए भी।
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड। तो आशिक, जरा आप ये वाली पीपीटी नाउ यू डू इट फॉर ऑल द घर टीम, विल यू बी एबल टू?
या यस मैम,
You can read, you can hear the reading again.
जुनैद सर को शायद अपडेट हम
बोलिए।
बेसिकली जुनैद सर ने जो केस मैनेजमेंट का जो पहले मॉडल तैयार किया था, उनको हम लोगों ने, जो असम की टीम आई थी इस रीजन से, उनको हम लोगों ने प्रेजेंट भी किया था इस चीज़ों को, मैंने और दीपाली ने हेड ऑफिस में, तो काफ़ी अच्छा पॉजिटिव रिस्पांस भी रहा था उनके तरफ से, और वो लोग भी इस पे काम करना चाहते हैं।
वेरी गुड।
That's very good. Only thing that I can add here, Ashik, is you are right. Like what is happening as of now कि अभी गवर्नमेंट के पास भी केस मैनेजमेंट स्टाफ है, ऐसा नहीं कि उनके पास नहीं है। जो नॉन इंस्टीट्यूशनल केस वर्कर है मैम, वो केस मैनेजमेंट का ही रोल है, बट उनको दिया नहीं गया है, मतलब उनको क्लू नहीं है, तो इसमें सिस्टम की ट्रेनिंग करना भी बहुत जरूरी है। और जहां जहां जैसे आई वाज एबल टू ट्रेन, जब मैंने जैसे एनआईसी के, जब आपने मुझे आसाम भेजा था वहां पे या गुजरात में, एनआईसी वाले तो आंख फाड़ के सुन रहे थे और उन्होंने बोला आज पहली बार पता चला कि हमको ये सब करना था। तो
we have to do a lot of trainings in Madhya Pradesh also, so we will talk to you about it separately.
Sure.
Yeah, that can help in even in Bihar we should take it up, चाहे उन लोगों के संग उस चीज का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है कि नहीं है, लेकिन जब वो फंक्शनरीज को जोड़ेंगे ही तो एक्स्ट्रा दो तो और अच्छा है ना।
बिल्कुल। So I think Junaid sir, we will come back to you. We have a lot of work. हमें मॉड्यूल्स बनाने हैं ट्रेनिंग ऑफ ट्रेनर्स का, केस मैनेजमेंट उसमें एक टॉपिक है। So तहे दिल से आपका शुक्रिया कि आपने इतने अच्छे से टीम को एक्सप्लेन किया, समझाया, और आपने हमें 1 घंटा एक्स्ट्रा दिया। We really appreciate that. I think all the team members have expressed their gratitude.
And you have not even had a glass of water. I was noticing it.
बस तौलिया से पसीना पोंछते हुए मुझे 2-3 बार दिखे थे।
Actually, this room doesn't have AC. It's a net. We need natural.
I know.
हमने सिर्फ एक चलाते हैं अपने घर में, बाकी तो
मुझे लगा आप पंखा भी बंद करके बैठे हैं क्या, ताकि आवाज क्लियर हो।
Because आवाज नहीं थी।
आवाज डिस्टर्ब करता है। I think
this shows your commitment. Thank you.
We have no words, I think, to thank you, but हम we'll continue to associate and seek your support and contribution for our projects, and team members को भी I think काफी अच्छा लगेगा जब भी वो लोग practically field में, I think उनको questions होंगे, confusions होंगे, तो they can come back to us and we'll shoot those questions to you. We can have a follow-up session also after maybe a month or 2, जब फील्ड में ये लोग काम करने लग जाएंगे, इस लर्निंग को अप्लाई करेंगे, तो काफी क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, तो हम लोग एक और फॉलो अप सेशन भी रख सकते हैं।
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, so and I'd like to thank the team members for continuing and showing, reflecting so much of that spirit to learn. तो ये बहुत अच्छा एक हमारे टीम डिपार्टमेंट में निकल के आ रहा है। We are all willing to learn. I think the new members are playing a great role in this. उनके बदौलत हम लोग भी सीख रहे हैं, रिफ्रेश हो रहे हैं, अनलर्न कर रहे हैं, लर्न कर रहे हैं। So thank you everyone, and we have another session planned at 4 o'clock. So we'll come back on Google Meet.
तो आशिक बता दें आपको नेक्स्ट जो है ना कोबो पे है. इट्स अ वेरी गुड सॉफ्टवेयर. So if you want to learn about that, you can join us.
Okay,
I mean,
sure.
if you want to, then we can send you. At least
Sure,
you can
sure, ma'am.
hear, and then you can take it to others. एक जन भी attend कर.
आकांक्षा महनाज, आपके पास Google Meet का लिंक है तो
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
नीरज जी प्लीज भेज दीजिए. ठीक है. Thank you everyone and bye bye. See you soon.
आप लीना इनको भी भेज दो ना, आशिक को भी प्लीज.
हाँ जी,
जहाँ
मैं
पे भी है वो. हाँ.
Thank you. Thank you, Junaid, and talk soon to you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, sir. Bye, all.